The penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return, but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do? My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Partly to mostly sunny skies this afternoon. Windy from the south. 72 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy, 49. Thursday, partly sunny. Cold front coming in, swinging the winds to the northwest in the afternoon on Thursday with a fast batch of scattered showers and possible thunderstorms. Windy and 73, but dropping temperatures during the afternoon. 38 Thursday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Sue Thomas is just rolling in the door. She was trying to get as much time outdoors today on a beautiful day as she possibly could. And I really can't blame you for that. I think it's a good effort.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You know what I did? I've been a little lazy in the mornings trying to get out of the house. And I decided, it's just so beautiful. I'm going to just kick myself if I don't get over to Family Golf and hit some golf balls today.
Nice,
right?
good.
I get in the car. I had to go to Walgreens. I do my Walgreens run. I got some gas. And then I go over to on 141 right by 44. It's just jam-packed. This is like 9 o'clock this morning. It was 9 o'clock. I don't know what the hell was going on. But, I went through 2 light cycles and didn't move, so I decided to turn left and do a U-turn.
That's bad. Through there this
what
morning.
The hell? What was going on?
I don't know. At first, I thought it was an accident, but I didn't realize it had gone on all the way to 9.
Yeah, well, I think it might have been past 9, actually. So anyway, I turned around, and then I didn't get to take advantage of the beautiful outdoor temperature. Fred's looking at me like, yeah, dude, I've been here since 7:30. I never get to enjoy anything at all.
No, I had a couple walks this morning
with the
dog.
Dragging Luna out a couple times.
And
get her
Fred,
out. That's right.
You have offered me a perfect segue. Can we at least take a moment here, all of us in this room, Ethan, Sue, Fred, and I, to honor Nazgul? That is the wolf dog that crossed the line in the skiing event. Have you not seen Nazgul? Oh my God, this is so funny. It's a wolf.
Oh, no.
What event was it in, Ethan? Do you know?
It was a skiing event.
Yeah.
I don't know which one.
It looked like a cross-country skiing event. I don't think it was biathlon. They got biathlon on right
Nazgul?
now. It's Nazgul.
Okay.
So I'm going with Nazgul.
I like Nazgul.
Right? And he's like the star of the internet right now because he was just, hopping right along and just following the skiers. Wanted to finish in the money. Looks like he got a silver to me. If you look at him across the line, I'd give him a medal for sure. So it said NBC Olympics and Paralympics, their Twitter site posted, Nazgul started the day as just another Italian dog. He'll end it as a Winter Olympics legend.
I love that.
No, it's pretty cool when you see it. He was, oh my God, look at this. They actually have the time. Somebody put a stream together with the time for Nazgul.
That's awesome.
Because the skiers were crossing at the same time. So, man, he crosses that in 2 minutes and 44 seconds. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
The slow motions of these are just absolutely amazing.
I'm gonna look
They
this
really
up.
are. I was kind of into the Olympics last night, and I have a great piece from Will Leach that I'm going to spend some time on. Will Leach is, I never can remember if he's a St. Louis native or not, but he's very Cardinals. Is he? Do you know, Ethan? He loves the Cardinals. So he's written about the Cardinals for years, and we've interviewed Will. But, I was telling Fred this. Sometimes I want to get a guest on because I read a column and I want their opinion. We want the audio portion because that's what radio does, right? But in this case, this column by Will is so good. I just kind of want to read it to people because he does such a good job. And it's about the curling controversy because that's kind of blown up. Now, last night, Fred, you were at some soccer game.
Yeah, I was at an indoor soccer game, so I didn't see the curling.
Oh, my night was set last night because I was watching curling, and they were rocking it out, so it was kind of fun. Are we getting to the point, is this whole thing going to end this weekend?
On Sunday, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
I think it's Sunday.
That's unfortunate.
It's the 20. Is that the 22nd? I think it goes through the 22nd,
Sunday.
whatever that is.
This is great news from the homestead here. So I think I've told you that we have this issue with Olaf, the wire-haired dachshund, the little dog, where he jailbreaks, right?
Yeah, he's getting out.
And he never could get through the fence until the puppy came along. And then the puppy, Max, last summer, taught him how to get through the fence.
Enabled.
Right?
Yeah, he enabled him. That's
he did. He did.
accurate.
So anyway, we thought we narrowed down the area in the yard, and Becky put chicken wire up, right?
Yeah.
So that fixed it. Until last week, when he apparently found another way to get out, and she's literally texting me right now. She's putting chicken wire up, and she goes inside for a second, and he's gone. So she's asking me in real time here, as I'm live on the radio, to post something on our subdivision board so they can find me. He's always found down the block somewhere. And I'll have to do that. Is he
fast? Are dachshunds fast? I mean, all I have to go on is I covered the wiener dog races one year, and they kept turning around and going backwards to the other thing.
I don't think they have like any kind of land speed records that they're setting, but I mean,
But he can wander off.
He just wanders. That's what he does.
Yeah.
He just goes down the block. He looks for a garage to run into. Then, my neighbor way down the block, like the second to last house on the block, Krista, texted me 2 days ago, I think, when I was on, hey, I've got Olaf. I'm like, oh my God, good Lord. So, and here's something else that's funny. So, Becky, I wish, this is a little hard, but I'm going to describe it the best I can. So, I can't remember what this place is called, but right there in Valley Park, which is just a little bit north of where 44 is, there's this, I don't even know what you would call it, but they have all kinds of agriculture things for sale.
Yeah.
It's a grain, like an old grain belt or something.
Yeah.
So she bought the chicken wire in there. And we spent a good 15 minutes looking at that damn chicken wire this morning, trying to figure out how to unravel it because there was no obvious point. It was like that roll of toilet paper that you get that little piece and then you can't get the whole thing to go.
Oh my gosh.
And you have to tear like 15 pieces off just to get to the start. So she finally, I guess, went to the place, and it took three people just to explain how to do it. So apparently it wasn't our fault, is what I'm saying.
Oh, thank goodness.
I guess, yeah.
That's important.
Well, I mean, you feel pretty stupid.
Well, you do if you can't unroll something.
And
I hate that kind of stuff.
I'm not. First of all, let me just make something clear. When I'm asked to look at something like that, I defer. I'm like, nope, I can't see. I don't have my reading glasses. That's my reason. I mean, I could see if I tried, but I don't want to see. That's no.
You have
deal
no
with it.
interest in
right?
it.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So that's what I do.
I should have been onto that by now. I never really realized that.
That's part of it,
Oh
Fred.
yeah,
You
Fred.
gotta
That's you
follow
got to
up
know that
here.
that's my pattern. If I say I
Follow
can't do, I can usually do it. It's just I don't want to do it. So you kind of come up with a reason there. So I guess I'm going to have to post on our Facebook page here in just a couple of minutes. We the other thing that happened last night. I don't know if you were dialed into. I just completely forgot it was on. But SLU finally lost a
Yes.
game.
Yeah.
Oh, what a bummer.
On the road to Rhode Island. Is that
Yes.
who it was?
Yeah, it was Rhode Island.
But look,
they were just beaten.
this is going to happen. I think a bubble needed to be popped there or burst, if you will. So I don't think it's the worst thing. Now, my understanding is you got a huge game because VCU is this weekend, right, on Friday night. So you got to win that one.
Mark.
Mizzou's got Vanderbilt at home tonight. That is not an easy task.
No, that's not going to be easy. Somebody on the feed says all you need to do is put up a camera, and I've got one we're not using. I could bring this to you, and you could hook it up and watch how he gets out.
Well, and I appreciate that. I think we kind of know that now. Okay,
so that part is
I think
known.
I think we've kind of got it, narrowed, if you will. It's just a matter of that's probably the next step. I do have a camera that would probably catch some of this from my ADT stuff that I haven't checked. But I think here's the reason we think we know. He's going out to the front of the house. So he's not going through the neighbor's yard and then going through or around the back where the creek is. He's going, there's two places he could get out. One has chicken wire, and after today, the other will have chicken wire, and then we'll kind of know. If he jailbreaks after that, then I think we got big problems. Hey, how about Stephen Colbert? I don't know why CBS doesn't fire him. He seems like he's begging for them to fire him, right? Because he goes on, and he's supposed to have this guy on who really nobody knows nationally because he's running for a Senate seat in Texas where it's very unlikely that a Democrat is going to win a Senate seat. And he's also facing Jasmine Crockett, our little star, a rock star from here in St. Louis. So this is a couple nights ago.
You know who is not one of my guests tonight? That's Texas State Representative James Tallarico. He was supposed to be here, but we were told in no uncertain terms by our network's lawyers, who called us directly, that we could not have him on the broadcast. And because my network clearly doesn't want us to talk about this, Let's talk about this.
Okay, so that was Monday night, but then the story comes out yesterday that the lawyers really didn't. They offered guidance on this, and then they decided to do this. I think it's another stunt that Colbert pulled.
So it wasn't true that that CBS just wanted balanced coverage?
No. They offered guidance on the equal time rule. But what doesn't make sense is here's what happened. All right, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened.
Okay.
Stephen Colbert is a racist. And you know why? He favored this white dude. God, I hope he's not straight. He might even be a straight white dude over a black woman in Jasmine Crockett. How could you make the case to your audience that you're going to put the white dude on, especially if he's straight, outside of an African-American in Jasmine Crockett? So that's what makes this even funnier, because listen to what she says.
I have done Colbert a number of times. If you pay attention, I've done Colbert a number of times. I've done The View a number of times. I've done Kimmel a number of times. I've done all these shows a number of times. We did receive information suggesting that the federal government did not shut down this segment, number one. That is my understanding, that the federal government didn't shut this down. And we will do an official statement once we get another official statement that we anticipate is going to be coming.
So, in other words, it's a little hard to hear. She's saying the FCC did not tell them what to do, okay? It was the lawyers that gave them guidance. Colbert's version of this is very different. He even, did you see what he did last night? He puts the CBS response into a little dog poop bag on his desk. I mean,
wow.
To be in a position to be able to do that and hang on to your job, right?
From Paramount, all right? So we will read what they say, and then we'll go from there. It is our understanding that Mr. Colbert...
That's a little hard to hear someone get out of there. But she's basically blaming Colbert and not the FCC. And then just real quick here, because this may be one of my favorite pieces of audio of the day. Actually, I have two. So let me just get to both of them. They may come full circle here for audio cut of the day. This is by far my favorite.
Here's the thing. I don't want impeachment. I don't want them to serve time. I want them taken into the city town square, hung from their ankles, and cut them from groin to chin.
That's like a real person. That is a real person yelling at the top of her lungs at the camera. And I can't tell you if it's a they, them, or what it is, but I thought that was interesting. And then there's John Leguizamo. And if you are someone who has an issue with illegal, this is the other thing, though. They don't distinguish. They can never tell the difference between legal people and illegal people. We don't discriminate against people who are legally here. But John Leguizamo says that we can't even eat guacamole because the Hispanics and Latinas gave us all this stuff. So he's offered a list here, Sue, of things that we can no longer, as white Americans, take part in.
You know, there should be a rule that if you don't like a certain ethnic group or race, that you can't eat their food or use their inventions that they give in the world. So if you don't like Latin people and you don't like us speaking Spanish and you don't like us being here, then you can't eat our chocolate because we gave you that. You can't eat our vanilla. Get off it. You can't have our tomato sauces or ketchup because we brought the world tomato and tomato sauces. You can't have anything spicy or hot because we gave the world chilies. Get your hands off of it. Mm-hmm. You can't eat corn or popcorn because we gave you that. You can't eat our squashes, no zucchini, nothing, because that's ours. No beans. Oh, we gave the world all the beans. That's right. I know it's a little gaseous, but get over it. You know you like them. And we gave you avocado, no more guacamole, no more potatoes, no more potato vodka, no more potato gnocchis or pierogies. That's right, because we gave you French fries. Potatoes
I didn't know that.
Ours.
Did they gave us potatoes?
No more tapioca teas because tapioca is ours. You can't touch any of our stuff, and you can't use our colored TVs.
What?
You can't do Duolingo. You can't use Chat GPT. No, we didn't do that. Oops. Strike that, mother.
He did say that at the end. I don't even know where to say. I do have to tell my daughter when I get home today, no more Duolingo. It's banned.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, I'm just reading an email from MoDOT, and they are saying that tonight crews are going to close all eastbound lanes of Interstate 70 at the 64, 61, 70 interchange for road work. Now, this is weather permitting, but all eastbound 70 lanes will be closed tonight from 9 p.m. until 5 a.m. tomorrow, and they will have detours in place. But you're really going to want to know that tonight in that area. Now, the big issue at this hour, we had an accident headed into Illinois. Now, if you're headed into Illinois on the Poplar Street Bridge, there is a jam just past, well, there's an accident just past Route 3. But the real jam starts, they're doing road work 70 at 64. And this is eastbound 70 at 64. And it's caused a huge delay back to the Poplar Street Bridge. Also jammed is traffic coming off of the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
To my friend Jeannie Sullivan, from Pet Supplies Plus.
Yeah, we love her.
She said, "Wait till you get till you get to Olaf's age. You'll be wandering on the neighborhood too."
Not a bad
valid point.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
But my lips are turning blue. Are they fast?
My darling, Jerry Kelly can install a new furnace tomorrow, no matter what day tomorrow is, even if we call late at night.
You are my hero.
They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. JerryKelly.com.
It's a tough area of law, family law, but I want to guide you into some excellent representation here in St. Louis, and that's Susan L. Ward, who has decades of experience with a great team in an office that's relatively new in De Pere, Manchester, and 270. They have a great website. It's stlfamilylaw.com. And on that site, you can kind of pop around and see some of the practice areas. There's a tab that says About. And if you click on that, it says Choosing an Attorney. And Susan and the team offer great advice on how to go through the process. And one of the biggest pieces of advice that they can give you is don't wait till the last minute. That's what most people do. I know in my case, and this was a couple of decades ago, I waited till the last minute. You're worried about the expenses and all those things. But procrastination is your enemy in a situation like this. And they're going to take great care of you at Susan's Law Firm. So if you need help in this area of the law, and it could be for post-divorce issues, domestic partnerships, domestic violence, stlfamilylaw.com, the phone number 314-783-9400. The focus on family law, the emphasis on you, Susan L. Ward.
Being first in line can be very important to homeowners. First in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first in line for Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardy and Pella window replacement specialist, and now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050 or see them online and have a banner day.
This station is now conducting a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
We all have different ideas of the perfect retirement, but they all depend on the same thing, not running out of money. And preparing for retirement can sometimes be overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Find out how to build your retirement on your terms.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different.
Join host Steve All for the All Financial Hour, Saturday mornings at 6 or Saturday afternoon at 4, here on 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm Dr. Nick Barnes at Health From Within Family Chiropractic in Rock Hill. At Health From Within, our mission is to transform the way you manage your health by bringing you the truth about health and healing. We use proven techniques to remove interference in the nervous system and maximize health naturally, without drugs or surgery. Connect with me at healthfromwithinstl.com and join me for Maximize Living on this station every Sunday at 8 a.m. or download the Maximize Living podcast, healthfromwithinstl.com.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis Conservative.
We have former United States Senator Jim Talent on deck after 3:30. His thoughts on Iran and whether or not there's going to be a military strike. And then I didn't really get to the Munich Security Conference and AOC and her word salad. We'll get to that here this afternoon as well. In the 4 o'clock hour, we have a Wednesday edition of Sue's News. And I have this great piece from Will Leach on the Olympic curling cheating scandal, which I like quite a bit, so I'm going to share that. In the 5 o'clock hour, Duane Patterson from hotair.com. And then as I mentioned, I think in the open, Jacob Kern at the, maybe I didn't mention this. Did I mention this? Jacob Kern at the Business Journal has a really, I don't want to say great piece because it's kind of an unfortunate piece about the city of St. Louis, the infrastructure. Like, Sue, just for an example here. We sit 2 blocks, literally 2 blocks to the north from City Hall.
Yeah.
City Hall is literally falling apart, okay? And they don't have the money to fix it. So we'll get with Jeff Rainford, who was former chief of staff for Mayor Slay. And I remember talking about City Hall renovations when Mayor Slay was in office.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going back 10 years on that now, right? Leland Vittert is back with us. He is the host at News Nation every night, St. Louis native. Used to be an intern over on the other side of the building at KMOX, and he wrote a great book called Born Lucky, A Dedicated Father, A Grateful Son, and My Journey with Autism. Leland, welcome back. How are you this afternoon?
Never better, my friend. Good to hear from you.
Hey, we have a pretty good story here from St. Louis today, and I wish we could have had him on the air, but Pete Hegseth is here, and Boeing Defense, Space and Security has announced that they're returning the headquarters to St. Louis after being based in Arlington. So it's a big move. Boeing says it underscores major ongoing investments in advanced combat aircraft and defense innovation. And Leland, I probably don't have to tell you this, but we don't get a lot of good economic news often in St. Louis, so this is pretty big, I think.
Well, I was going to say it also is perhaps because Virginia, that used to be so tax-friendly and business-friendly, is having its own progressive renaissance. Abigail Spanberger, who won as governor in the first day of the Virginia state legislature or assembly, whatever they call it, they put through this laundry list of progressive ideas, tax increases, and a whole other list of progressive priorities. And I think there's a lot of businesses that perhaps thought Virginia was the great place to be and may be looking for other places as well.
Yeah, I would say. What do you got planned on the show tonight on Balance with Leland Vittert? And then we'll kind of maybe piggyback off that into some of the topics.
Well, we've got Donald Trump heading to Georgia for what is going to be the first real test of Trump's electoral chops. Does he still control MAGA? Because it's Marjorie Taylor Greene's congressional district. There's a special election Republican primary coming up with, I think, 18 candidates. Trump's endorsed one. So we'll see if Trump is able to be the kingmaker in the Republican Party still, which will say a lot about the midterms, considering how much Democrats have been talking that they're going to do so well. We're going to talk, obviously, new developments in the Nancy Guthrie case. The FBI is now saying they're talking about going down to Mexico, or at least enlisting Mexican authorities in their help. And then what you're talking about with Jim Talent, which is a strike on Iran, John Teichert, who was the longtime commander of Joint Base Andrews, and then also involved in the B-2 test squadrons and the F-22 Raptor program. He'll be on about what this massive move in military hardware to the Middle East means. It's more military hardware going to the Middle East than the Iraq War, or equivalent to the Iraq War. That's not to just take out the nuclear facilities, right? This is at least the Pentagon wanting to potentially plan for a sustained bombing campaign against Iran, and that's what they're telegraphing. So we'll have all that.
So let me ask you a question on Trump and Nancy Guthrie in maybe a strange way, because I've made this observation a couple of times where, in a weird way, Leland, the Nancy Guthrie story has kind of brought the country together, right? There's not a lot of two sides. If there's criticism, it's really of law enforcement, but everyone wants this 84-year-old mom and grandma to return home or to have some resolution to that. The timing of that with Trump is interesting because we're coming off all the ICE protests, and things in the world of Trump have settled down quite a bit in the last couple of weeks. So I don't know if that gives them a launching pad or a better launching pad for the economic messaging. But do you agree with that? Because some of the chaos has settled down, and maybe some of that is just because the news cycle shifted.
Well, the news cycle has shifted, and Savannah Guthrie was mercifully something to talk about other than Trump, which has been a nice, as you put it, respite. And people can watch it without having anger issues about politics. It's now sort of this national worry, and it has endless conversation. That's why these cases captivate America. The only part that you're missing in your analysis is that most of the chaos around Donald Trump is caused by Donald Trump.
Well, this is true. Yeah.
So I have a hard time always saying, well, he's in the news all the time. That's because he wants to be. Donald Trump has, if you really want to irritate Donald Trump, ignore him for a few days and he'll do something, which I'm kind of waiting for what that is to return the news cycle to him. He is above all, a great understander of the media equation and the American public's attention span.
Is there a winner or a loser at this point when it comes to the SAVE Act? Because the Democrats, it's amazing to me that they want to claim that getting, an ID to vote is the most impossible task for anyone to achieve. Now, I know that this piece of legislation goes a little further than that, but where did we land there? I mean, did anyone really come out winning? Because I've said this, I don't know if you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, but Larry David framed his entire last season of Curb around the Georgia law and misrepresented in a comedic way what it was intended to do. But the Georgia law, Leland, in particular, tells me almost everything I need to know about this, because all the same claims about Jim Crow 2.0 existed when that happened a few years ago.
Right. I would argue with the SAVE Act that, number one, you need the same type of ID to prove your citizenship in order to be able to get on an airplane. And interstate travel is a constitutional right. And interestingly enough, Congress is allowed to regulate it, and Democrats have no problem with that. We did something on the show a couple of days ago about Democrats in Illinois who had a Meet the Candidates event and put on the flyer, you must bring photo ID to attend. So evidently
Right.
You can vote. The irony. But I don't think so because of this, Mark. There's very few issues that people sit on the couch and say, you know what, honey, now that voter ID didn't pass, I was going to vote for insert name of Democrat here, and instead I'm voting Republican, or vice versa.
Yeah.
There's very few issues like that. There's two, really, and it all boils down to how people feel. Do they feel secure? Do they feel economically secure? Do they feel physically secure in terms of crime? Do they feel secure in terms of national security? That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and where I see people, and this is anecdotal, and I think I mentioned this yesterday, I see people in my world that I know that are a little bit more middle-of-the-road voters. People have swung. They're not, ideologues, and they swing from person to person. But everyone in the aftermath of Minneapolis, and by the way, Springsteen puts his song out a couple weeks ago. U2 has a song out today that specifically mentions Renee Good and what happened in Minneapolis. Oh, yeah, Sue, I have that. I'll play it to you. But, it's certainly one of those situations where, I don't know, Leland, it's just been so crazy out there with everything that's going on with immigration. I think a lot of people have, and I don't think the narrative has been accurate from the legacy media, but a lot of people are seeing what's unfurling, and whether it's fair or not, the perception is the reality, and they're troubled by what ICE is doing in this country. So I guess my point about the last couple of weeks is Tom Homan goes in there, you got ICE out of there. There's not a lot of that going on right now. So that might be good. If he can refocus this message on the economy, that's going to be the best thing this administration can do right now.
Well, I guess if the message on the economy matches how the American people feel.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump was able to match how the American people felt in 2024. People thought things were unaffordable. They were. People thought they were having a hard time getting ahead. They were. They thought that Joe Biden prioritized progressive woke policies over working class Americans. Fact check, true.
Right.
Donald Trump knows message now of, hey, everything's great. Look at the stock market. That doesn't help people when they're sitting at home trying to figure out what groceries they can buy and how to make sure they can pay for their kids' Little League league.
Yeah. And buy a car. I mean, there's a story out today that the average car payment is drifting up to $1,000. So,
whoa,
that all those things really go into play. And I understand your point. On Balance with Leland Vittert tonight, News Nation, 8 p.m. Central. Have a great show tonight, and thank you so much, Leland.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Illinois drivers, it's not a lot of fun over there right now. We've got road work through February 23rd at noon. The two right lanes on eastbound 64 between 15th Street and 25th Street are going to be closed. And those right lanes are being closed for road repairs and bridge deck repairs. So we've got this situation through February 23rd at noon, and it's causing a delay all the way back onto the Poplar Street Bridge. And if you're coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, it's a serious jam. It looks better, obviously, after 25th Street, but that is the cause of a major delay over there now. Now, westbound 6440 on the Missouri side, it's the usual. Approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland, just some moderate volume at 270. Westbound 70 a little slow at K. 55 still looks pretty good at this hour, but there's a slow go. As you head toward Bates, it's just not a parking lot. It's just off the pace. This report brought to you by Artistic Decks. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Spring is here. Save now on expert craftsmanship from Artistic Decks. We're A-plus rated, Platinum TimberTech installers, and ready to get your dream deck installed by summer. Call now, 314-280-0821 for a free design today.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpet sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
3:36. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
From High Ridge to Pontoon Beach, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You know, yesterday was our first day on after Monday was the holidays, so the host was remiss in his duties to share this soundbite yesterday from AOC, which, by the way, I've heard this several times now, and it's uncomfortable to listen to. It really is.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is a, this is, of course, a very long-standing policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point.
Okay, she has no idea what she is. That sounded like Kamala, right?
Wow, it was
I'm
Kamala.
not saying that she should be the geopolitical expert in, Congress, but that was really rough. Jim Talent is with us, former U.S. Senator from Missouri, foreign policy expert. That was, I mean, it's uncomfortable to even hear that, Jim, isn't it? How are you this afternoon?
I'm fine, Mark. And, I feel the same way. And I really mean that. Maybe it's because I've done so many interviews like that over the years. It's hard on a human level not to cringe for the person who is just blowing bubbles
Right.
like she was doing. Now, of course, she's completely responsible for it. How do you go to the Munich Security Conference and not be prepared to answer the 3 or 4 questions that even your staff can tell you are going to get asked? I will say, I think Whitmer was as bad. She went to the Munich Security Conference and wasn't prepared to answer a question about Ukraine.
Yeah, that's quite stunning, right? How do you not do the homework? You got plenty of hours on the flight over to do a little homework, right?
Right. And I will say, and I don't know if you actually want to get into the merits of the question, that the Taiwanese issue is complicated because 45 years ago, when we recognized the mainland as China, we were still playing, even Reagan did this, we were playing the China card, and very effectively, against the Soviets in the Cold War. And so we were not going to provoke Beijing by actually recognizing Taiwan as a separate country along with China. And so they worked out a deal basically in something called the Shanghai Communiques, where we would not refer to them as a separate country. And ever since then, we've retained this, they call it strategic ambiguity. There are other reasons for it as well. But the right answer to the question, if they'd asked me, was, well, I think it's not our official policy because we maintain a policy of strategic ambiguity in the question for a number of reasons. I think we should defend Taiwan. But the best way to defend Taiwan is to deter Chinese action by being strong, by beefing up our deterrence in the Indo-Pacific. And then you would talk about a number of ways to do that.
But that is, some of that is happening, though, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, right,
I mean,
right.
We're beefing it up not only militarily, but really as important because it's a more effective deterrent, I think, by strengthening our alliances. Hence the president's trip to Asia, and you can see how close we are now to the Japanese. What the Chinese do not want is to take an action against Taiwan that will result in a very determined regional coalition against them. I think it's a pretty effective deterrent. I'm not overly concerned in the near term about Chinese outright kinetic action against Taiwan, but that doesn't mean the issue isn't a flashpoint. I mean, in other words, it's a difficult issue, and there are a lot of reasonable answers. But what she did was, I don't know. I think Mark Halperin said it was a career killer for her. I don't know if it was a career killer, but it's not good for her presidential.
It sounded like one of those sound bites that was edited, and it really wasn't. Former United States Senator Jim Talent is with us. So help me and the audience explain what's happening with Iran right now and what the potential is, because the narrative might be that this would be a joint U.S.-Israeli campaign that is a lot broader in scope than what happened last year and would be more like a full-on war, maybe not with boots on the ground. But is that accurate, or how can you explain this in a simple way to the American people?
Yeah, I think that is accurate, although I think one of the open questions is when we attack, and I think it's more a question of when than if, whether the Israelis will join in. Personally, I'd like to see them do it. The Israelis have moved to a policy of preempting threats rather than trying to contain them, and I think they could be very effective in helping. Well, Mark, look, if you go back to we actually have a global strategy now. And I'm serious when I say really for the first time since the end of the Cold War. We have a foreign policy, and we are prosecuting that. Our vital interests there are protecting the homeland, suppressing terrorism, including narco-terrorism. Iran is the chief state sponsor of terror, and Iran's proxies are tied at the hip with the narco-terrorists in the Western Hemisphere. We want to protect our servicemen in the area, and we want to protect the rights of Americans to move, trade, and travel in the region. Those are our core interests. Now, Iran is still the major threat to that, much weakened. And so what the president is doing is assembling an enormous amount of military power as leverage while negotiating with them. He's putting them in a vice. And he's not aiming, and this is, I think, a key fact here. I don't think the president is aiming this at the mullahs. Trump does not miss the obvious. He knows the mullahs are not going to agree. I think he's aiming it at the people in the regime with military caps, not turbans. And I think the message he's sending them is, if you want to survive and maybe come out of this with a good deal of the wealth you've looted from Iran, you need to get rid of this guy, Khomeini, and you need to play ball with us.
Right. So Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff met with the foreign minister of Iran yesterday in Geneva. They say that there was progress made, but, I mean, is there, in your opinion, there's a lot of firepower that's still going, that's there already. It seems like this is unavoidable. But if I'm Iran, and I know they don't do things maybe that are rational, I'm looking for some diplomatic breakthrough, but that's seeming more and more unlikely at this point.
Well, I think the Iranians are doing what they usually do, which is, they lose wars and they try to win negotiations. So I think they're trying to spin this out. And I think notwithstanding what's happened in the last year, they think they can get us to agree to something that basically is a weak deal, or a deal that they'll just cheat on. But I don't think they're not reckoning with Trump. I mean, I'm rereading The Art of the Deal now.
Oh, are you really? Yeah.
Yeah, I am. I'm taking notes. I'm a big supporter of Donald Trump, okay? But whether you are or you aren't, this man understands negotiations. They're not going to skunk him, which is why I think there's a chance this could work diplomatically. It's worth trying. But I think in part because our partners on the Gulf, the Saudis and the others, they would prefer that we not strike militarily. So I think Trump wants to be able to go to them and say, look, I did everything I could, but I don't think it's going to work. I think we're going to attack in a big way, and I think we're going to go after the ballistic missile arsenals. I think it's going to be the number one target. Now, whether the Israelis join in or not, I don't know. And there are tactical issues. The president's got to decide that. I think the Israelis would be happy to, and we're certainly going to use their intel. And I suspect we're going to go after, leaders of the regime, maybe not Khomeini, and the Israelis know where all those people are. I mean, if I'm a big shot in that regime, I am terrified.
You would think so.
The Israelis know every place I go.
Right.
I'm there, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Jim Town, thanks for jumping on here with me. We'll find out probably sooner rather than later what's going to happen on Iran, and we'll probably have you back soon. But thanks, Jim. I appreciate it.
Well, Mark, if you got just a minute, the limiting factor here is, and it's a matter, we don't want when these guys are deployed there month after month, they can lose their edge. So I agree with Lindsey Graham. I think this is a matter of weeks and not months.
Yeah.
Not days necessarily, but I don't think it's a matter of months either.
I think you're right about that. That is important because you're going to lose a lot of support if this thing drags on. If it's, precise military strikes, the American people would be, I think, on balance for that. But it could get more tricky after that. And obviously there's politics involved here as well. All right, Mr. Talent. Well, thank you so much. Always appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep. Take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got an accident reported now westbound 44, a little bit past Six Flags Road. Watch for the right lane and the right shoulder to be blocked there. Now, the serious jam we have at this hour, well, for one thing, we've picked up volume westbound 44 at 270. Southbound 55 is pretty slow now, south of Arsenal, down through Bates. But it's road work on eastbound 64 on the Illinois side between 15th Street and 25th Street. They've had the right lanes down and will through Monday at noon. It's created a huge jam back across the Poplar Street Bridge and even coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. Other than that, the usual volume, westbound 40 starting at Kings Highway, northbound 170 pretty slow at Airport Road, and westbound 70 slowing at K. We've got moderate volume on southbound 270 that stretches from Page down through 21. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. This report is brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They are simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. You can't find better quality, prices, or service. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You know, Game Day Men's Health, I've been talking about them for a long time. They feel like they're a men's health clinic built for every journey. And that's something that's important because men across North America, they have locations in America and in Canada, have discovered Game Day and what they can offer in a great environment. Matt Lawrence has an awesome team out in Chesterfield. They're still offering you a free visit. It's an hour visit. They really are proud about sticking to the time, a free testosterone and PSA test. And then they come back with results, and then you decide on a plan of action. Maybe it's testosterone therapy. Maybe it's something else. They have unique ED treatments. They have medical weight loss. They also have their own pharmacy, and that's important when it comes to keeping prices low. Peptides have blown up, but there's a lot of misinformation about those online. You can find out a lot more and get accurate information at Game Day Men's Health. So take advantage of the offer. Go in for that 1-hour consultation and see what you think, because they have a great team of medical professionals and folks who can guide you through this process and make you feel comfortable. The pricing is very, very simple and streamlined. You're going to love the experience at Game Day Men's Health. And do us a favor, tell me you heard about it here on 97.1 FM Talk. Matt's location is right there, 6440 Olive and Clarkson, GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Mark Cox is live in D.C. for President Trump's State of the Union address.
We are going to be surrounded by a liberal media. I am happy to have you there to be that conservative voice.
Sponsored by Corel Roofing and Golden Oak Lending.
Hey, it's Mark Cox here with my friend and trusted realtor Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria, we've worked together for 6 years now. You have 23 years of experience with your Guaranteed Sold program, but many don't know you also have a Guaranteed Multiple Cash Offer program for serious sellers.
That's right. Some sellers are looking for speed, certainty, and to avoid repairs and open houses. I just helped a family in December to sell their parents' estate. They chose me because I offered 4 cash offers at our first meeting, which gave them options picking the best cash offer. Whether it's multiple cash offers or my Guaranteed Sold program, my sellers are always in control to sell fast and for the most money. It's my guarantees and my buyers in waiting program that set me apart from other realtors.
Take it from me. Call Gloria Liu right now at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree upon price and possession date.
We depend on our roofs to keep us dry and protected year-round. That's why the roofing company you choose is so important. Mark Cox here for my friends at Corel Roofing Company. You can trust my friend Curtis Corel. And here's one thing he'll tell you right now, and it's his experience. A lot of roofing companies will try to install roofs when the temperature is below freezing. And here's what you need to know. Curtis has been praised by a lot of people in the industry because he will not install a roof on those cold days. He said that shingle manufacturers will deny warranty claims if that roof is installed on a sub 40-degree day. Did you know that? That's why honesty is important. If your insurance company has denied coverage for your roof, call Curtis at Corel Roofing. He loves working with insurance companies. He would be happy to get a second assessment from them. Call him at 314-222-9529. Tell him Mark Cox sent you. You can go online anytime at CorelRoofingCo.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
Oh, my goodness. Are we getting close to our fish fry broadcast? This Friday is our first one, which is Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church, which is near Soulard. It's a great location. We were there last year. We'll have George Gray from The Price is Right on Friday in the 5 o'clock hour. He's going to come and play a little game that we call The Price is Wrong, that he invented and copyrighted and has huge ratings. And I think our friend Alex Rich is going to swing by. So we'd love to see you at our first broadcast. Typically, well, not typically, we get started at 3 for sure. We know that. Yeah. But the fish sometimes doesn't come out till like 4:30 or 5. The lines build. You can come out and watch the roundtable and meet and greet. We'll have all the regular stuff in the 4 o'clock hour. Live Sue's News. We'll get Paul Hall in entertainment and Cusimano on sports. I have outside of George, I think we have one other thing set. You know, Alex is going to swing by, but we'll keep things hopping. And then most importantly, we are fed on Friday at the fish fry, right, Sue?
Yes.
I always love. I really am, and we'll point this out. I'm blown away by the amount of dedication and service. All these volunteers do. They get real geared up for it. It's all these fish fries have their unique stamps on them. Some of them have food that's just a little different.
A little bit of salmon.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
we
love it. It's a great environment, and I can't wait to get out. And I would have said today was a really good day to start these because of the weather. Let's look. Have you looked at Friday and what Friday's looking like? 'Cause
No,
we have
tell
cold
me.
weather moving in for next week.
I know
again.
tomorrow it's supposed to rain in the morning.
That's what I've heard. Rain for tomorrow. Friday, not so great. 47 for the high.
Oh, perfect. We'll be inside.
As we get into, well, that's true. As we get into the weekend, we're looking at lows. Saturday morning, 28. Sunday morning, 23. Monday morning, 18. Tuesday morning, 20. And then it starts to get a little bit warmer again.
Okay, good.
As we get
Focus
into
on warm.
the first, this is, of course, the reliable Weather Channel app. So you can't, it's got to be accurate 100%. But they take you out, 10, 15 days?
Yeah.
And they got us till about Wednesday the 4th with temperatures that first week of March kind of in the low 50s and low temperatures in the 30s. And that's pretty much what you would have for the beginning of March.
That's typical.
I was talking to somebody today. I can't remember who it was, someone out of town. I said, we've just had, really interesting weather because remember October was, maybe track me here and see if I get this right. I think October was really nice, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then November was we had snow in November, right? So November was great. December was really good. We had pretty unseasonably warm. January sucked. We had a real winter. February has been pretty nice. So the pattern there doesn't speak so well for the month as we always point out of March because that's just coming with rain and cold weather and nasty stuff like that. All right, we have I have this really good column, and I know, Sue, you haven't really followed curling as much as Fred and I.
No.
But I really am into it, and it, it only happens every 4 years. But Will Leach, who is a really, really good sports columnist, wrote a piece on the cheating scandal, and he brought up some really good points about curling because, they don't have refs, right? So you're kind of... There's a trust
wait a minute.
factor.
I didn't realize that. So nobody makes a call?
I didn't know that either, but that's what he says. There's no one that can step in, if there's an objection or anything like that. And, I found, I don't know, Will's going to tell you, and this is what I feel like there's no doubt if you look at the video evidence that they were cheating according to the rules. I don't know how much effect it has on the stone, but it's cheating if your finger is on the body of the stone and not on the top of it, which is what the Canadians were accused of doing. There's a U.S. curler, a female, that came out yesterday or today and defended the Canadians, basically said, this stuff is very marginal. It's happened for a long time, and we just choose to ignore it. So there are different perspectives on that.
Okay, but it's still not following the rules.
Well, it's not, and it's just blatant, and that's part of the problem. And I think that's what Will points out, is there's no one to enforce whatever might be complained about.
Yeah.
I think it's a little crazy, too. We did have Michaela Schifrin nailing gold today, which was big.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we didn't. Sorry, is that a spoiler? Probably. That came out this morning, so I didn't think I was going to get in too big of trouble. All right, we'll take a break here at the start of the hour. I want to talk about a few things here. There's a real funny letter that was in the New York Times this morning to one of those advice columns that I'll touch on. I talked about Will Leach and his piece on curling. Duane Patterson from hotair.com at 5:04. Jeff Rainford to react to a St. Louis Business Journal piece that kind of outlines all the infrastructure problems facing the city of St. Louis, including City Hall, which is literally falling apart. When Jeff was the chief of staff for Mayor Slay, I remember having conversations with him then. This is 10 years ago about renovations. You kick the can, and how much, I don't know, he might even have the math at the top of his head. How much would those have cost 10 years ago compared to what they're going to cost now? Maybe double?
Gosh, it might be.
It might be.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads today, huge jam on the Illinois side, and that's on the Poplar Street Bridge. The problem is we've got the right lanes blocked eastbound 64 between 15th Street and 25th Street. Those lanes will be blocked. They're doing road repairs through Monday at noon. Now we've got an accident reported westbound 6440 past Lindbergh. That has created a major jam. It's almost jammed back to 170. Accident 170 northbound, and this is north of Page. Before you get to Midland, a jam there. Westbound 70, just moderate volume past the airport and K. But, of course, the 64 jam But out west, we've got just moderate volume at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. In the meantime, 55 southbound slow south of Arsenal through Bates, and northbound 270, an accident reported really just north of 44. Take care through that area. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. 100 years. That's how long they've been repairing and replacing garage doors. They've got same-day repair service, no extra charge for evening or Sunday service. Go to overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions, so it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Did you know replacing old vinyl windows with more vinyl windows might not be the best choice? Hi, it's Kim, and I'm here to tell you about Infinity from Marvin Windows, because these fiberglass windows, they're energy efficient, they're beautiful, and they're custom built to fit your home perfectly. The team at Lakeside Renovation and Design just makes the process so easy. I love the fact that they even offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. Look, if you're tired of drafts, high energy bills, or maybe hard to open windows, now's the time to upgrade. Visit windowsbylakeside.com to schedule your free consultation today.
Hi, it's Mark Cox inviting you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace, and then Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life. Don't miss this trip. Meet me and the folks from Colette to learn more at the Lodge at De Pere, Tuesday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or go to 971talk.com/events for details.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Insisting he's making life better for all Americans.
But we thank God for the strength and courage and grit and devotion of Black Americans who have helped make America the most powerful country in the history of the world.
This during a White House event marking Black History Month, also paying tribute to the Reverend Jesse Jackson a day after his passing, calling him a hero and a good man. Several Democratic lawmakers say they'll boycott the State of the Union, instead planning to attend a rally being organized by progressive groups on the National Mall. The Trump administration says it's ready to help clean up a massive sewage spill in the Potomac River.
President Trump blames the Democratic leaders of Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. for last month's pipe collapse that surged millions of gallons of raw sewage into the Potomac. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the president is waiting for a request from the governors and mayor.
The federal government has been preparing plans. The White House has been in contact with FEMA, with the Army Corps of Engineers, with the Environmental Protection Agency. Again, we've been standing by. This is a problem we want to fix.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore says the collapsed pipe is the responsibility of the federal government, saying the spill is mostly contained and President Trump needs to do his job.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. 8 skiers confirmed dead, 1 still missing after an avalanche near Lake Tahoe in California.
A group of 15 skiers, 4 guides, and 11 of their clients finishing up a 3-day winter camping trip in Castle Peak. An avalanche warning was in effect at the time with heavy snow and gale force winds. It took hours for some 50 rescuers to get to a group of 6 that managed to survive the avalanche that was described as the length of a football field.
Fox's Claudia Cowan in Sausalito. America is listening to Fox News.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel. Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Partly to mostly sunny skies this afternoon. Windy from the south. 72 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy, 49. Thursday, partly sunny. Cold front coming in, swinging the winds to the northwest in the afternoon on Thursday with a fast batch of scattered showers and possible thunderstorms. Windy and 73, but dropping temperatures during the afternoon. 38 Thursday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hour number 2, welcome back. We got Sue's News coming up here in the 4 o'clock hour in just a couple of minutes. I want to talk about the Canadian curling cheating scandal, which, by the way, there's like in real time developments on that this afternoon, but Will Leach wrote a great column about it. It was in New York Magazine, and I'll share some of that here in just a few minutes. Before we get to Sue's News, just a couple of random things. I got some sound bites. Did you hear about all the dumping that went into the Potomac? How do you say that? Potomac. Sorry.
Potomac.
Why could I not pronounce that?
Sometimes.
Potomac River. And this was a question by Peter Ducey today of Carolyn in the briefing room.
There are a lot of events coming up for America 250. The president wants people from all over to come to the nation's capital. Is he worried that by the summer, the Potomac River will still smell like poop?
He is worried about that, which is why the federal government wants to fix it, and we hope that the local authorities will cooperate with us in doing so.
I mean, it's kind of bad, too. And the guy that runs the whole show out there is, like, I think, obviously a DEI hire, so they have literally a big mess on their hands out there.
Did you hear what the
DC.
governor of Maryland asked?
Wes Moore?
Yeah, Trump said, we'll help you if you ask nicely.
Politely. Right, politely.
And he said, please, Mr. President, will you do your job?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Will you do your job?
Will you do your job? Right. Well, I think they'll probably get some help. And then there's this. This was Ed O'Keefe from CBS News. And this is getting a little attention today. So in the briefing room, he asked this question. Jesse Jackson, civil rights leader, passed away. The question was partly about him.
Yesterday, in his statement about Jesse Jackson, the president said, despite the fact that I'm falsely and consistently called a racist by the scoundrels and lunatics on the radical left, Democrats all, it was always my pleasure to help Jesse along the way. Where or when does the president believe he's been falsely called racist?
You're kidding, right?
I mean,
I will pull you plethora of examples. I'm going to get my team in that room to start going through the internet of radical Democrats throughout the years, Ed, who have accused this president falsely of being a racist. And I'm sure there's many people in this room and on network television across the country who have accused him of the same. In fact, I know that because I've seen it with my own eyes.
So it does seem like a really, really stupid question, but you notice there was one word there that is the operating word, and that is falsely, right? So that's the fallback position for Ed O'Keefe. Ed O'Keefe's going to say, oh, the president is racist. He says racist things all the time. When can you point me to a time where he was falsely accused of being racist, right?
That's icky.
Well, it's ridiculous. And you know, he's called... anytime you have any difference of opinion with someone on the left, for the most part, you're a racist. I mean, I get called a racist all the time on things related to whatever I might post on Twitter, and it's just a lazy way out. So this is, speaking of lazy, this is kind of lazy, but I'm going to do it anyway just because I read these things every once in a while, and I cannot believe that they still exist. So when we all grew up with the newspapers, whatever paper you subscribed to, we had Ann Landers and Dear Abby. Remember, that was a big deal, right? People would write these notes to Ann Landers and be questions about things that are happening in the family. It was an advice column, if you will, right?
When we grew up in my household, we were a Globe Democrat household because it was the morning delivery. The Post-Dispatch was the afternoon.
That's
right.
funny.
Yeah.
And I guess we had Dear Abby.
Is that what it was?
For the Globe Democrat.
Right.
They were sisters.
Were they?
I believe so.
Look that up.
Stand by.
I think you might be right about that. But, you know, they've continued doing at least Dear Abby with not Abby. Abby's left us a long time ago. Check that, though. That's interesting.
Ann Landers and Dear Abby were identical twin sisters, born on July 4th, 1918.
Look at that.
In Sioux City, Iowa.
Look at that. That sounds like a random fact. All right, now that you say that, that resonates. Fred, do you remember that at all?
Yeah,
okay.
I do.
So in the Washington Post, they have someone named Carolyn Hacks, and it's Ask Carolyn, right? So I always get, and they do something in the New York Times, too, like this. But, you know, they always get me to press and click. That's what they want to do. So... This is when I like kind of. The headline is Partner is Cringingly Kind to Strangers. Hacks readers give advice. The letter writer worries about being too critical of partner's eagerness to help strangers who sometimes get visibly annoyed. Dear Carolyn, my partner is very kind and has a need to feel helpful, but sometimes it's just too much. I lovingly joke to him that he is one of the characters, I love this, in the Progressive commercial where young homeowners are becoming their parents. When we are out... And she says, we're both very social people, he regularly inserts himself into other conversations or steps in when not asked. In the last week, he gave food recommendations to the couple at the table next to us at dinner. He brought over a water bowl to another couple at a restaurant because he thought their dog was thirsty. He grabbed his own to-go box as to not make the server do it. I love that he is kind and always looking to be helpful to others, and most people are appreciative. However, I also see people get annoyed with him because he's doing things he wasn't asked to or providing unsolicited advice. It comes from a well-meaning place, but it can also be embarrassing when I can tell a person would like to be done with the conversation and he isn't reading the room. Am I being too critical, Carolyn, of someone who's just trying to be too kind? Getting out and socializing is his happy place. I don't want to rain on his parade, but I also don't want to feel like he's infringing on others, right? Do you have an answer here, Sue?
For who that is?
Whoever wrote this, right?
I do not.
That was used to sign it, like signed, you know, Nancy in Peoria or something
it'd be like
that.
Nancy in,
yeah. But this one doesn't say anything. It just says, too friendly. That's the
that's how they do.
That's how they. So
I think Marie may have accused me of being that.
Really?
Like with neighbors and things. Like I'll talk to anybody on the street.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know, people don't really care.
You're the embodiment, I think, of the Progressive commercials.
People don't really
care.
No,
seriously.
So she's actually.
I think I am.
She's actually smacked you down on that before.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting. Well, here's what Carolyn says, Fred. Okay, so you can tell Marie. When kindness is this excessive, something I never have to worry about, it is most likely serving some deep and insatiable need to feel valued and useful. It is a tough conversation to have, but with compassion, ask your husband, Marie. Has he ever asked himself where this perpetual need comes from? Probably working with me every day.
Yeah,
that
right?
could be.
Okay, there's your answer.
Point.
Is he willing to recognize there might be a disconnect between what he desires to give and what others desire to receive? Perhaps challenge him to think twice and act only if his desire to help would make a substantial qualitative difference to the situation. If he could start to learn to preserve and prioritize the dispensing of his great goodwill, he might experience even more profound gratitude. How about that?
That's good advice.
That is.
And I've backed off a lot.
Have you? Well,
oh, yeah.
But I don't see you inserting yourself into someone else's conversation.
I don't see that either.
No,
I see you just talking to strangers.
At a restaurant, I won't tell someone to order off the menu.
You're just over the time.
Like that.
I might tell them.
Like what? Can you give us an example of something that happened where Marie's like, "Hey, Fred, maybe you shouldn't do that."
Back it up, Fred. Back it up.
No.
Yeah, really? You just know that it's been mentioned before.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's a nice problem to have, Fred.
I think
that just
it is
means
too.
you're nice and kind.
This kind of goes to the issue to a certain extent of people like, I don't know where Fred would stand on this, but you're on an airplane, right? And the person next to you wants to be chatty, right? Now, I'm sometimes in a conversation mood, but see, what happens is if you take the bait on the first question or the first instance, you might not ever get out of it.
It's
right?
true.
And I don't like to be, even though I have no problem sometimes being mean to the person next to me on an airplane. I don't be mean because you got to sit next to them the whole time, right?
Okay, what would you do in this? And this happened to me flying into Japan.
Okay.
Long
flight.
I had it right, and I had a middle seat.
Oof.
Well, that's your first problem.
Okay, well, there was a child sitting next to me at the window.
Okay.
And when we were passing some of the most beautiful things, she was too scared to have the window shade
open.
Right.
Oh.
And so I missed a lot because I wasn't about to ask her
No, you know what,
to
though?
open it.
This is a debate.
That's
I swear to
hard.
God, this was in either the Washington Post or the New York Times a couple of weeks ago. A story, I saved it along those lines because there is this debate, what kind of person are you? First of all, I don't know why you'd want the window seat if you're not looking out the window.
Well,
okay?
I kind of agree with that.
But I also understand closing it if, you're trying to take a nap or you're trying to do whatever. Sometimes the glare is pretty heavy. But that was actually one of the debates that I saw a couple of weeks ago.
But this is a kid. And did she actually say, I am afraid?
No, her mom told me that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, could you switch? Oh, maybe you switch chairs.
I should have offered to switch.
Yeah. And that way she's in the middle, everybody has space, and you could look out the window.
But it is interesting. I love the comparison in that letter to the Progressive commercial because those are so good.
They
And
are
they're
genius.
so
I'm
accurate,
guilty. I'm
right?
guilty.
Well, that's okay, Fred. We forgive you. All right, we have Sue's News coming up here in just a couple of minutes. That's going to be a lot of fun. After that, I have this piece on the curling cheating scandal, and I'm telling you, like in real time, there are things developing on that this afternoon. Duane Patterson will talk politics after 5 o'clock here. He's the host of the Duane's World podcast, producer of the Hugh Hewitt Show, and contributes at hotair.com. There's a very interesting and kind of a sad piece, if you will, about the city of St. Louis and infrastructure needs that Jacob Kern did at the St. Louis Business Journal. I'm going to kind of reflect on that. And Jeff Rainford, who is a regular on the roundtable, will join us for that at 5:32. Plus, an audio cut of the day.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got some accidents out there. I just posted the one that is westbound 6440 near Lindbergh. They've got the left lanes blocked. Traffic is jammed behind it. We've got northbound 170 with an accident kind of north of Page before you get to Midland, and that thing is blocking the left lane as well. Now, the other serious jam we have, well, besides westbound 44, it's really jammed right at 270, and then there was an accident northbound 270 north of 44. 55 jammed at Bates, but there's a huge jam headed into Illinois on the Poplar Street Bridge and coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. This is all due to road work in the right lanes between 15th Street and 25th Street. That will be in place through Monday at noon. Out west, we've got moderate volume on 64 right at Prospect and 70 slowing at K. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It sounds like everyone's trying to get home to enjoy some of the weather today.
Wow, I
a
think
lot
you're
of traffic
right.
out there.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up. From now on, if you sprang a leak, need a water heater, or have hard water,
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air, Plumbing, and Electrical.
Jerry Kelly will fix the leak, install the thing, and make that hard water easy. From the company who's got your whole home covered.
JerryKelly.com.
Many times, a person hires a law firm after an injury without doing research. It can be a big mistake or not. Sometimes, after you have hired a certain lawyer, you realize you made a certain mistake. But guess what? Just because you hire them doesn't mean you can't fire them. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you think you've hired the wrong firm, you may have. So do this. Google Morgan & Morgan results or visit forthepeople.com for cases just like yours. You may find that our full-service injury firm should have been your choice in the first place. Last year, almost 12,000 people discharged their law firm and hired us after further research. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason. Visit forthepeople.com today and let's get started. Or call Pound Law on your cell phone. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IBW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Wait, Corey from Air Comfort Service? What are you doing in my basement?
Standing behind our work.
It's 9 p.m.
At Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation, we take pride in our work. If you need heating service, no matter the time of day or night, we're here to help with 24/7 emergency service.
So you're just going to stand behind my furnace?
Yeah, pretty much.
Can you hand me those paper towels then?
Absolutely. For heating service or HVAC maintenance, visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
It's not pleasant to hear it, but Missouri is falling behind in its spending of state tax dollars, education, and health care. But there are ways to get Missouri moving forward again and produce a better life for all of us. That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together a 2026 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can move to a brighter future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from taxes to government transparency, from education to healthcare and budget reform. Let's allow students to attend the school of their choice. Let's adopt new proven methods to help the many school kids who can barely read. Let's limit state spending growth for Missouri's long-term financial stability. And let's invest in future needs with more nuclear energy. Why not common sense reforms to make things better for all Missourians? Check out our 2026 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
The NFL playoffs are here, and Heed the Call NFL podcast with Dan Hansis and Mark Sessler is your destination for coverage of every round, from Wild Card Weekend to Super Bowl Sunday.
Heed the Call covers every game, every storyline, everything that matters, and we have fun. No fake hot takes, just entertaining football talk from your favorite buds at the bar.
Wait, Mark, which bar?
Well, like the typical neighborhood bar where the witty sports guys at a place like that.
Ah, I like that. Follow and listen to Heed the Call wherever you get your podcast.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Beautiful, beautiful Wednesday afternoon in St. Louis. The nice weather continues tomorrow. I think we had a little rain in the forecast, and then Dave Murray says some chill back in for the weekend. I'm going to go over this Olympic curling controversy at the bottom of the hour. We got to do this here, though.
You're listening to the Mark Reardon Show.
Stop pressing the wrong button, host.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
All right, there we go.
I ran into Melanie Lena,
who nice.
is Hank's wife, and she wanted to know, or Hank wanted to know if you liked the hat. And I said, yes, he loved the hat. Okay,
Wait,
I just wanted to tell you that what's happening.
Something's happening here. I cannot turn down.
We're really loud.
I know, and I can't turn it down.
What do you mean?
There is nothing that is allowing me to turn it down. Hold on. Look at the volume thing is all the way down.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, this will be fun.
Oh, yeah.
I have no control.
I'll scream it.
Ethan, I have no control over the volume of that. We're not going to have the music today.
Oh,
that's fine. That is troubling, though, because I need control of that. Anyway, let's just roll here.
That's
but
interesting.
There are things that I've seen with our control, but I've never seen this before. So that's new.
So even though
I have no control. I'm just going to tell you, whenever I hit anything, so I can hit this right now, but I have. Look, there's my volume
it's not
control.
doing anything.
No,
Ethan's
I have
on
to
the phone
stop
making
it.
an official
I actually
call.
have to stop it in order for it to fail. Okay, so let's just roll, though.
Okay, that's crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
I want to let you two know while he mumbles in the background on the phone, that Jane Duker and I are going to get our colors done tomorrow. That's so we're driving out. I'm going to see her, and I'm going to ask if she wants to go to dinner and find out how her new job is.
Okay, but let's go back to the colors thing, because this was something that you were supposed to do, I think, and the weather may have canceled it last month.
Somebody was not feeling well, so she put it off, the woman who does the colors. And they essentially come in there and say things like, "Oh, Fred, you should wear cool colors, or you should wear warm colors." And then they determine what your season is, right? And they've done that for years. But apparently now they are really specific, like you're a cool summer or an early spring. So we're going to have that done, and it's going to be hilarious. It takes 3 hours.
What do you think you are?
I think I'm a winter.
Why does it take 3 hours?
A chilly winter? A chilly winter?
Yeah, winter, I guess, is chilly, but I guess there are different variations of winter, and we'll have to see. I think I'm a cool winter, but we'll see.
What is it? Can I ask this question?
Yes.
By the way, we got the music back. All it was Brad came in. There was a button.
What
that
was it?
It was this little arrow up here that I've never seen. He turned it on and off. What is the end goal for the colors?
Oh, well, Mark.
Okay,
Then when we know our colors, we
Okay.
don't purchase clothing outside of colors that don't make us look good.
Oh.
So when
it's
you
clothing,
go,
not hair color.
Yeah, it's not hair.
Okay.
Although, see, I may be doing the wrong thing because I have a warm hair color on top of my not warm generally hair. So, I mean, I may get lectured. You understand. But, yeah, then you can buy stuff in your color palette and look better. And look great. As Jane says, we're going to be cute.
But this is kind of like if I'm not mistaken, this is like an 80s thing, was it? Or was it
Yes.
90s? It was
no,
a
it
thing
was 80s.
at one point.
It was 80s.
Right.
And they've brought it back and made it more really specific.
3 hours? What
3
in the
hours.
Sue.
But there's two of us, Mark. So I think I get to sit down and get the colors draped, and then I look at Jane, get the colors draped, and we say, "Ooh, that looks great."
When are you doing this?
Tomorrow.
So we'll be able to hear about it tomorrow
Oh,
afternoon.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Sure, that'll be
Complete
exciting.
transformation. Well, I'm very curious
Mark,
about how it's going
we
to take
gotta
that
go
long.
next.
Yeah, we will. I'll do
Yes.
it. I will do it,
Will
Fred.
you? And it's not.
Oh, hell, I'll do it.
Okay, it's not inexpensive.
Oh, well, I'm not going to pay for it. I don't know if you've met me, Sue. I don't pay for things.
And there it is. Okay. Well, it is Ash Wednesday, and I also want to say Happy National Crab Stuffed Flounder Day, which is very specific, but sounds terrific to me. Does that sound good to you, Fred?
It does sound good.
I don't think I'm a crab person.
Yeah, you're not
you
a
should be.
seafood person.
Oh, okay.
You should. It's really,
Crab
I think
is
you'd like it.
delicious.
Okay, here's the other thing. It's National Battery Day. Now, you go, okay, we should appreciate batteries. That's good. But it also had the best description I've read about how batteries work on nationaldaycalendar.com today. Okay, a battery changes chemical energy into electricity by bringing the different chemicals together in a specific order. And when correctly ordered, the electrons will travel from one substance to another, creating an electrical current.
Are you saying you just couldn't have done that off the top of your head? Who doesn't know that?
I guess I've never read how they do it, and I found that interesting, but that may just
No,
be
I
me.
think it is interesting.
You know?
I agree with you.
I had no idea it was chemical. Okay.
It makes sense, though, when you think about it.
It does,
right? Yeah.
but it's just not something I thought about.
Also why you're not supposed to, even though everyone does, you're not supposed to really put a battery in the trash, right?
Right.
Yeah, but
What
everyone does.
What are you supposed to do with them?
Well, I don't
Take
know,
them
because
somewhere?
I've always put them in the trash. I have no idea.
Okay.
I have
killing
a drawer.
America.
I have a drawer somewhere
Like
in the
of dead
house.
batteries?
Oh, yeah.
Dead batteries. You never know.
Yeah, you
they
never
make it
know.
better.
Right? On this day in history, here's our music. 52 years ago, in 1974, Kiss released their self-titled debut album, featuring this song called Strutter.
I don't know if I remember this one. But that was the first album.
Yes.
So I never, when I was that age group, I had friends. Well, I like that song. I had friends that were really into Kiss, and I was not really into Kiss.
Me neither.
There was, you were either into them or you weren't.
It was just too theatrical, goofy for me.
Right, but then I grew appreciation for them over the years.
Exactly. Eventually, they became part of the culture, and you're like, okay. But listen, it's not that you want to hear a little bit more. I'm sorry.
I don't remember that song.
I don't either.
I'm not sure.
And I went through several to try to find one that we knew.
Well,
This
it was
the closest one.
In fairness, there's a lot of artists out there that have debut albums that don't score, and then maybe it takes a couple to get something that is a hit.
You guys,
so.
there's one on there where it's Gene Simmons singing lead. It's not. So we went with this one. That's all I'm saying. And 25 years ago today, this was a big, big deal. In 2001 was when NASCAR legend Dale Earnhardt passed away in a multi-car crash on the last lap of the Daytona 500. He was only 51, and he raced for 22 years. But this Dale Jr. is so popular, and part of it is, of course, because of his dad, but that was a huge thing in NASCAR 25 years ago.
Kenny about that yesterday.
I know, and I didn't know.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I just didn't know. All right, Team USA earned 2 more medals at the Winter Olympics yesterday. Both of them were silver. But have you guys seen the freestyle skier back forehand and the trick he did? Fred.
That was incredible.
Is
that the guy that got robbed of the medal, though?
Yes, but he said, listen, I did not get robbed. He was really...
He got a silver, though, right?
He got a silver.
But he says he didn't get robbed, even though he did that move?
Yeah, he said, listen, he wishes he could have done a trick like that, but he tried something different. He did something called a trick that had never been done before, a nose butter takeoff into 3 flips and 6 full rotations. You got to watch it. It's amazing, and he nails that landing.
Oh, and he was amazed himself.
He was amazed. Yeah, it's totally worth watching. And then Team USA, featuring Casey Dawson, Ethan and Emery Lehman, won silver in men's team pursuit speed skating.
Yeah, that's kind of
fun to watch too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, they had to complete 8 laps around the track. They lost to Italy by just 4.51 seconds. It's fun.
The training center for that is up in Milwaukee.
Is it really?
Yeah, Eric Heiden was from there, if you remember him from
I do.
They do all that up there.
Oh, that's nice. If you're trying to learn something new, this is today's piece of advice. Whether it's an instrument or new software, there's a new study out that says, try taking lots of mini breaks. Now, this study was done and found that 10-second breaks every now and then can help things sink in by giving your brain just a little bit of time to catch up. It's called gap learning, and there's no hard and fast rule for how often you should do it. But in general, every few minutes might be good. A neuroscientist talked about it in a recent podcast and said doing it randomly is better than setting a timer. So just take a break every few minutes, try to clear your mind for 10 seconds, then go back to whatever you're doing.
I prefer to stop and, over the course of the 10 seconds, throw something across the room.
Yeah, and I prefer to stop and then give up.
Yeah.
You know what? Neither of those is mentioned. Thank you for your input. And finally, in Sue's News, we have today's random fact. Finding Nemo is the best-selling DVD of all time, and it'll likely keep that title forever since they don't really do those anymore. Blu-rays and digital downloads are a lot more common, so Finding Nemo forever, the best-selling DVD.
And I think it earned that, too. My wife and daughter were watching Finding Dory last night when I got home.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. Mortgage rates fell last week to the lowest level in a month, and that spurred a rush of refinancing demand, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. The average for a 30-year fixed mortgage fell to 6.17%. That led to a 7% bump higher in refis. Applications to buy a home saw mortgage activity down 3% last week. Economists say robots and other automation technologies could replace 20% of U.S. jobs over the next 2 decades. Researchers with Oxford Economics said that roughly a fifth of jobs are highly vulnerable to such a shift, noting that tech is able to replace most or all of the functions currently performed by human workers, already exist, and is commercially available. Wall Street with modest gains today. The Dow Industrial Average up 129 points, ending the day at 49,663. The Nasdaq was up 175 points. The S&P 500 picked up 38. That's Your Money Now.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Being first in line can be very important to homeowners. First in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first in line for Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardy and Pella window replacement specialist, and now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050 or see them online and have a banner day.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Zero Res wants to give your home a little extra love this week only. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $109, plus get a 4th room free. Book online by February 20th at ZeroResSTL.com, and don't forget to mention Mark Cox sent you.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
432, this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
Midwest Made. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, the damn Swedes just tied it up with like a few minutes to go in regulation with the U.S., so they may have to go into overtime here. Canada won early. Fred, this is the semifinals, though, but you can't lose or you're out. So, I'm sorry, quarterfinals. Yeah, that's what you said. I misquoted you, so we'll keep you posted on that. But, you know, the focus at the Olympics when it comes to the cheating scandal has been on curling. And this is a great column by Will Leach that I found yesterday. He is he's a Cardinals guy. I don't think he's from St. Louis, but he's written about sports for decades, and he is someone I've had on the air quite a bit. I thought about asking Fred to see if we can get him on, but I just thought the column, spoke so well to the issue. Now, I will tell you that even this afternoon, there are some things that are happening in relation to this. And if you're not familiar with what happened, I'm going to explain all that, so don't worry about that. But I even saw something, I got to go to my photos here because I took a screen capture of this not too long ago, of someone who basically, and some of the Americans are even saying, look, this happens, from time to time, and it's not unusual. But then this guy, Canadian curling star Mark Kennedy, claims that he was set up by premeditated cameras to catch him in an act of cheating. The words are in an act. The Canadian curling team is now claiming to be victims after they were caught on camera double touching the stone. Kennedy
How can you be set up? Well, you're either cheating or you're not.
They have come up with a plan here at the Olympics, as far as I know, to catch teams in the act at the hog line. I'll explain all that here in a second to you, okay? This was planned. It was kind of evident that something was going on, and they were trying to catch us in an act. I know that we're not the only team they've done that to, so I think this was, I don't know what the word is for that, but like premeditated to try to catch us. Well, if you're cheating, shouldn't you be caught? All right,
yes.
So here's Will Leach in his take on this, and this was in New York Magazine. He says, one of the most comforting things about watching sports is knowing that there are rules. Sure, caveats abound. Athletes and coaches will often try to evade those rules or rewrite them to their own benefit, and all rules come with their own institutional biases and blind spots. Sports are not the meritocracy its biggest boosters tell themselves it is. Sports egalitarianism may be an aspiration, but it has never been a reality, and it never will be. Sports are unfair, just like life is, he says. But nevertheless, there are rules. There's a field of play with boundaries and end lines. There's an opponent, a goal, and an achievable objective. There is a scoreboard on which points are tallied, and when the game is completed, there is a winner and then there is a loser. There is clarity of purpose and, perhaps most important, ultimate resolution, right? The game ends, and then we all go on to do something else, probably watch another game. Now, there is an exception for this, and I think we all know what it is, and it's called football, and not American football, which drives me nuts. Ties are unacceptable to me in any sport. It's just ridiculous that
Do
there are
they
ties.
do that because it could go on for days?
I don't know. Fred, do you know why?
I don't know.
I'm not the soccer. I'm not the best guy. Probably, right? But
let me
I
ask.
was the guy that was at the All-Star game. Was it 2002 when they had a tie? It's the only tie that they ever had in Major League Baseball because they ran out of pitchers. This was at Miller Park, which is now called something else, in Milwaukee. But anyway, I digress.
Oh, here's what they say. You want to know?
Yeah, I do.
Because soccer, the game focuses on competitive balance, where a draw represents both teams being equal after 9 minutes of play,
Boring.
especially during long league seasons.
Boring. That's what I say. Anyway, the Olympics, Will says, enjoyable for many reasons, but ostensibly they're supposed to be the platonic ideal incarnation of sports as a force for unity in a world that discourages it. More often, though, the Olympics reflect not our world's ideals, but instead our true selves. And I'm not sure that that's ever been more plainly displayed than by the current curling scandal that has enveloped these games, where we risk an international incident between Canada and Sweden over curling. So here he catches us up. In a preliminary match, this is what happened a few days ago. A Canadian player named Mark Kennedy, I just quoted him, you might remember, was accused by a Swedish opponent of double touching the curling stone, essentially tapping it after it passes something called, you just heard this referred to, the hog line, all right? And I didn't know that. I learned that today. And if I had learned it, I had forgotten it. So that allowed Kennedy to theoretically control where the stone goes past the line, and that's explicitly banned. Kennedy responded, you might remember this, telling the Swede to F off. And Will says, it's a wonderful video. If you haven't seen it, it's like seeing the guy being cursed out by Youppi. I didn't understand that line. Who's that? Youppi.
I don't know.
Okay. Sometimes, it's like when I would read a P.J. O'Rourke, not a P.J. O'Rourke column. Who am I thinking of from years ago? One of the staunch conservatives, Fred. I would always have to look up the words. Anyway, I'll think of it here in a second. The notion, Will Leach wrote, of a curling scandal is on its own objectively amusing, and I think we would admit that. As we all know by now, this is an extremely silly sport. It started with a bunch of Finnish monks scooting rocks across frozen ponds in the 16th century, and it is mostly played in Nordic and Canadian bars. It involves brooms, or in the modern era, Swiffers. The greatest and most famous curler of all time is a man named Kevin Martin, who Will says looks like a cross between Ned Ryerson and Wallace Shawn. You might not have thought about curling since the last Olympics 4 years ago, and in a week, you will not think about it again until 2030. And I can't deny that, right? I could get into a long discussion, he said, in a breakdown of the exact rule that was broken here and why it matters in the curling world, but I really don't care, and I suspect that you don't either. What matters is that Kennedy, despite his protestations, clearly cheated, something that has been captured on video, but there were zero ramifications. And what matters is why there were zero ramifications. So I thought this was interesting. He said, you see, the thing about curling is there are no refs. Well, there are officials stationed nearby, but explained by Olympics writer Roger Sherman, who's been really good, he says, in his newsletter called Sports, players can call over officials for disagreements or measurements, but they're broadly expected to sort things out between themselves. That is to say, officials have no power. They're figureheads. They're not actual refs because curling is a bar sport, a Nordic and quite modest one. It has, throughout its history, been self-policed, okay? Competitors are supposed to be polite and fair and take care of any disagreements among themselves. Over decades of competitive curling, this has never been a real problem. There have been no major curling controversies before, save for a tussle about broom technology about a decade ago, and that was called Broomgate, I guess, because there was no possibility of a major controversy. They just figured it out because they obeyed the rules. But that's changed, Will Leach says, in the last year. So I guess China was involved, go figure, in a similar controversy at the World Championships. Now there's an Olympian one, which of course has gotten far more attention, and like the one in China, it's a document of our times. So here's what Will Leach says. He breaks it down quite, I think, effectively. He says, not only did Canada break the rules, but when Kennedy was called out for doing so, he, A, told the person who called them out to F off, B, complained to reporters afterward that he doesn't like being called a cheater, despite video evidence of him cheating, C, got the national team to put out a statement saying it was committed to, quote, fair play, D, blamed the Swedish team for trying to trap the Canadians. That's basically what he's saying now.
Well, that's insane.
Right. E, denied the infraction happened entirely, saying there was 0% chance, despite, again, full video evidence that we can all see with our own eyes. And, of course, the next day, a player on the women's team cheated in exactly the same way. And once again, there's video evidence. And all these people are Canadians. The hell's up with that?
Exactly. They're supposed to be nice.
Right. He says the reason these curlers have flouted decorum is because they can. There are no real officials. There's no governing board that can make ruling one way or the other. There are no punishments forthcoming. As long as you're willing to deal with the shame of actively lying and giving no quarter, despite mountains of evidence that you are lying, you can do whatever you want. And all the way to a possible gold medal. There is a real-life example of this, by the way, that went on for a long time, and that's Lance Armstrong. And I will say, and I've had to admit this, that I was one. Wait, what happened in the game, Fred? Did we win?
We won.
Oh, thank goodness. Did they win in overtime or before?
Yes, overtime.
Oh, wow. The Swedes are gone.
Sudden death.
Thank goodness. I was worried about that. I stuck by Lance Armstrong. Look, I will still say, as someone who's a fan of the Tour de France, those moments that he gave me when he was battling, it was. But I mean, I also thought he was telling the truth about the cheating, right?
I did
so
too.
what he says here is that people hate referees the way they hate the media. They constantly believe refs are cheating them. They're biased against them. They're actively trying to make them lose. But we've seen now in curling what happens when there are no refs and when there's a culture of shamelessness that reigns. The curling world existed just fine under the existing structure for centuries. Over the last year, that's changed, probably forever. You tell me that you think it might have changed in the global consciousness about rules, impartial observers, shame, and power in that time. Curling once had its own calm, cordial ecosystem in which its citizens could peacefully coexist and compete. That's not happening anymore, right? He says it's now twisted itself into a world that looks, well, just like ours. We're just around to see it. Those Scottish monks would have plunged through the ice and drowned themselves in shame. The rest of us, alas, have to live here. And I don't like to just read complete columns from people, but I thought that was so excellently executed that I wanted to share that. And he's kind of right about that. Now, again, what's interesting about this is I have one more story, and then that probably, I probably to my limit here of curling stories, right? Go ahead, Fred.
I didn't realize it just never dawned on me there were no officials, no
me
referees.
Me neither.
But I guess does golf doesn't have.
Oh no, they have rules officials.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you have a question about a rule or a drop or anything, yes, a rule official will take the cart to the course in making adjudication right there on the course. Absolutely. If there's any kind of questions about a moving ball or anything like that, the rules official, they take it very seriously. That's why if you don't even, you got to sign your scorecard. If you don't do that, you're DQ'd as well. So there's lots of rules and they are followed. But so this is one of the Team USA curlers, Corey Dropkin. I don't know if that's a male or a female, but maybe it doesn't matter because gender doesn't matter. But apparently this curler tells CBS News that the double-touching controversy that has gripped audiences is bigger than it needs to be. So this is an American who won a silver medal, who's actually defending the Canadians. And it is a man, Dropkin, who helped win a silver medal for the U.S. men last week, told CBS News that it was unfortunate the incident had fueled so much Olympic controversy. He doesn't believe there was any cheating. So he basically says, and this kind of, when you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Because, and I'm not defending Kennedy for going after the Swedes, but if this has, like Will Leach, changed in the last few seasons, and it was something that was accepted in the sport for a long time, well, then obviously, and that's what Dropkin's saying. Basically, we've done this for a long time. There's a lot of Olympians that have done the double touch or the flick of the granites, and he's making the case that it doesn't even make that big of a difference. But it is interesting, though, right? And I like the fact that they're dropping F-bombs and stuff like that. It makes curling far more interesting.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've had some issues on the roads. Now, we still have a jam on westbound 44 past Six Flags Road. They've got the right lane blocked by an accident there. 270, pretty slow. Gosh, it's in both directions. And this is Olive down through 44. We've got westbound 44 slow in the Shrewsbury area. And southbound 55, slow pockets south of Arsenal through Bates. Westbound 40, Kings Highway, and this is in pockets all the way out through the 70 split. That accident on northbound 170 before Midland, so north of Page, really caused a delay if you happen to be traveling on the Interbound. And there's a huge jam headed for and crossing the Poplar Street Bridge. And traffic is slowing coming off the the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. This is all due to road work in the right lanes, eastbound 64, 15th Street to 25th Street. Quiet through North County, and 70 westbound, not bad, out of downtown. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Want a new home in Cottleville? Check out Cottleville Trails by McKelvey Homes. Take a golf cart or walk to downtown Cottleville. Visit McKelveyHomes.com today to learn more about the incredible homes in Cottleville Trails and move up to McKelvey.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
Michael's Flooring Outlet has 3 awesome locations here in the St. Louis area, and they're open 6 days a week in Old Town St. Peters, in Darien Prairie, and in West County on Olive. They have an amazing staff. They're very proud, Mike Reynolds is, of the team that they have put together, and they have experience. And this really matters, especially now, because you have so many options. So how do you know what's right for your home and what's right for your lifestyle, right? There are so many different choices. I dare you to walk into one of the stores and not, put your hands and your eyes on a bunch of the products. Maybe take some samples home and, do a little quiz for some friends and neighbors, what they like best, and make a decision. Mike and the team are there for you when it comes to picking products, installing the products, even repairing carpet, doing carpet stretching, things along those lines. They can help you out with that. They have a great tab on the website called Inspiration, and it's the technology you can see on other websites too, where you can upload a picture and visualize your room. They have a bunch of galleries up there as well. The galleries are, again, when it comes to options and technology, carpet, hardwood, laminate, tile gallery, luxury vinyl, the list goes on. IGotFloor.com is the website. Check them out today. Michael's Flooring Outlet.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw. When we meet our clients for the first time, they have built up a lifetime of savings. Their question is, what can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? First, we develop a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. Then we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money.
You've earned it, and it's our job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. You will also get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 40 years. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Hi, it's Mark Cox inviting you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace, and then Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life. Don't miss this trip. Meet me and the folks from Colette to learn more at the Lodge at De Pere, Tuesday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or go to 971talk.com/events for details.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I played a portion of this earlier. It's very, very painful. I just want to play it again because I want to set something up with what happened on The View today. But AOC in Munich over the weekend, very painful. When she said this, if I can get it to play.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
This is, of course, a very long-standing policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point. We look at what happened.
It kind of goes on from there, and it's not very comfortable at all. So they talked about it. Kevin O'Leary, remember I was talking about Kevin O'Leary yesterday? He's everywhere. He really is. He was on The View today. But it was, what's her name, who was trying to, Anna Navarro was trying to defend AOC.
Listen, she's not a foreign policy expert.
Clearly.
And so, no, she's not.
Clearly.
She's not.
Don't say. Yeah. Come on, give her a break.
You guys, this is You don't even exhausting. know who's Like, you running in cannot- Texas. you're Okay, exhausted. so for 5 seconds, let somebody finish their thoughts before you have to be rude. I would like to see how you would be able to answer that. Look, I think that it takes a lot of courage, and I think for her to be expanding her message, for her to be expanding her areas of policy interest are a good thing. She is one of 435 members of Congress. There's a lot of them there that don't come with a breadth of foreign policy
You're right. She
knowledge.
was fabulous.
You know, the part about that, Ana Navarro's right about a lot of members of Congress, but AOC was specifically going to a conference in Munich to talk about these things. She had, now there's also reporting that she had the playbook, like, you know, the homework that she didn't do.
That is the difference.
Everybody has moments. I have moments like this all the time where you can't think of things in your brain. But that was like Kamala-esque, and it wouldn't be too difficult to pull that back up and put it into a commercial if, you know, she is running for president. There's people saying, well, that's a campaign kill. Who knows? I mean, I think it's so impossible to even begin to predict what's going to happen, not only this November, but in 2028. But that was not a good moment. But then O'Leary and the, I don't know why he goes on The View and puts himself through this.
All right, Kevin, a quick last word.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm not sure.
My last word is...
Hang on, I gotta correct this one, because this one is actually from Abby Phillip last night. This is on CNN.
All right, Kevin, a quick last word.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm not sure.
My last word is, you're all nuts. Like, that's just...
Oh, my God.
Thank you, Kevin.
Guys,
am I in on that? Okay.
look, we got to keep it together here, okay?
We are. Too late.
Honestly, I mean, there's a way to talk about these things. If you don't have anything to say, just say that, and I won't come to you next time.
You don't
All
have
right,
basic
next
information,
for us,
Kevin. You don't know who's running for
everyone,
the Senate
thank
in
you
Texas.
for being here.
That was a stretch. It was
Next.
So they can argue. You see them arguing in the background, too. I might have actually misrepresented. Ana Navarro might have been on that panel last night on CNN. You know what I mean? He might not have been on The View.
I see.
I have the audio bites, but maybe she was on CNN. I'm thinking about that. So then there's Mamdani. I want to just cover this real quick, because think of it. Now, we don't have property values here in St. Louis that are comparable to, you know, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and all these areas. It's just stunning how much it costs to, you know, rent an apartment or buy a house. And, you know, like the first time I ever went to New York City, I had a friend who was going to be out of town, lived on the Upper East Side, sent me his keys, FedEx, and said, here, you can stay in my apartment. And I'm thinking, man, Upper East Side, this is going to be, it literally was, I don't even know if it was as big as this studio. It had one of those beds that you can pull, what do they call
Murphy
those things?
bed.
Yeah. It was, I could not believe how small it was. Now, it was rent controlled, so it wasn't as outrageous, but I'm like, oh my God, people, like families
live
in
these things.
places
Yeah.
like this. Right. So Mamdani is talking about the budget of New York City. And, you know, he wants to raise taxes on the billionaires and the wealthy people, but if he can't do that, he's going to have to raise property taxes.
There are two paths to bridge this gap. The first is the most sustainable and the fairest path. This is the path of ending the drain on our city and raising taxes on the richest New Yorkers and the most profitable corporations. And if we do not go down the first path, the city will be forced down a second, more harmful path. We would have to raise property taxes. We would also be forced to raid our reserves.
So he basically is saying, and I don't think the math ever works out on this, that we're going
because
to...
it can't.
Right, exactly. We're going to... Well, it might be able to. It's not certainly going to do it on the billionaires, but on the
No.
corporations.
Well...
But then what do the corporations do? They're
Right.
like, oh, we're going to go somewhere else.
That's right.
Now, how many, you know, you got Wall Street and all this stuff, so is it realistic? Who's going to pay the property tax?
The property tax increase, if the city was forced to do so, would be at a 9.5% increase.
Oh.
This is something that we do not want to do. This would effectively be a tax on working and middle-class New Yorkers who have a median income of $122,000.
So think about that, because there are plenty of pieces of property that are worth $1 million in New York City.
Yes.
That's $100,000
Yes.
in excess to what you're already paying.
That's insane. That's
Well,
so much.
I think he knows it's insane, which is why he's making the case to say, look, if we don't hit the corporations and the rich people, this is what we're going to have to do. Now, here's what Kathy Hochul, who is the governor, says.
I'm not supporting a property tax increase. I don't know that that's necessary. That's between the city council and the mayor. I mean, they're going to look at that. That's their prerogative to look at that.
Yeah, so she's staying out of it. She's like, look, that's not my deal. We're not raising, we can't do that in Albany. That's a New York City thing. They're going to have to decide. But look, he's going to have to try to fill the gaps. He talked about the reserves as well. You would think that they'd want to dip into the reserves before hitting people with a 9.5% property tax increase. I mean, can you even imagine that?
No.
Even here,
I
if
would
something
be
like
so
that was
mad.
tried.
Oh, my gosh.
Although, having said that, if you look at where the increases have gone based on the property value since COVID, we might be in that territory. Anyway, we're going to take a break. At the top of the hour, friend Duane Patterson from hotair.com, the host of the Duane's World podcast. That and a whole lot more coming up, plus an audio cut of the day.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
70 westbound, some moderate volume at Jennings Station Road, a little bit past the airport and at 79 and at Wentzville, but it's not bad. It's better than 64, which has slow pockets of moderate volume, but it's Kings Highway out through 270. Pretty slow Highway N out through the 70 split. Southbound 270, slow pockets from Olive down through Gravois. We've got 55 slowing south of Arsenal down through Bates. Boy, is there a jam headed into Illinois, especially on the Poplar Street Bridge and the approach to the bridge. We've got road work eastbound 64 in the right lanes between 15th Street and 25th Street. It's even causing a jam back onto the drivers coming off of the Sam Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. And it's pretty busy. 44 is in front of the Arch grounds. We are quiet through North County. I'm Sue Thomas. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. They've got the best quality, prices, and service. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative. If you have been saving for retirement, that's good. That's what most of us do. But then you start to realize, wait a minute, is this enough? Do I know how to make this money last for retirement? You have got to have a written financial plan in place. Otherwise, you are just winging it. And it's so scary because you wake up one morning and go, wait a minute, this is closer than I thought. I really need some help. Now, that's why financial and tax architects exist, because they help people through this. And their idea is, okay, before these people come and meet with us and we sit down and come up with a plan, let's teach them how things work. So it's a class called Retirement Planning 101. It's free. It's 90 minutes. It's one night, but it will make you feel so much better about retirement. All you have to do is register. Go to fta-ria.com. That's how you register. Go to a class. Get a handle on retirement just by understanding how it works.
Kid Rock. A celebration 250 years in the making. Freedom 250 Tour. The Road to Nashville. Friday, May 15th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. With Parker McCollum. Get tickets now at livenation.com.
American Badass!
The ultimate American party. Kid Rock.
It's a great time, if there's ever a great time, to purchase a furnace or an air conditioner. I know it's winter. We got some great pricing. You can get 0% financing. So if you have been told that you need a new furnace, definitely give me a call. I could probably save you lots of money. Get a second opinion. Call me. Next day installs for your furnace so you won't be without heat. Very long. A furnace average install about 2-3 hours for a furnace. So not a big issue to do it now. And like I said, great pricing. So if that's you, call me. It's Bart Inman. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. Just the easiest number. And there's one. 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600. Or on the internet, it is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Looking for a career change? The Gelman team with eXp Realty is hiring. Their unmatched blueprint to success, real support, and proven systems help agents take their business to the next level, level up your future and your earning potential. Take the first step to see if you're a perfect fit at thegelmanteam.com.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott, St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
KFTK FM Florissant.
An Odyssey station.
A ski trip ends in tragedy. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. 8 skiers are dead and 1 remains missing after an avalanche in California's Sierra Nevada mountains.
The group of 15 skiers, 4 guides, and 11 of their clients finishing up a 3-day winter camping trip in Castle Peak. An avalanche warning was in effect at the time with heavy snow and gale force winds. It took hours for some 50 rescuers to get to a group of 6 that managed to survive the avalanche that was described as the length of a football field. They dug their way out and were able to send text messages with their emergency beacons and call for help. Those who survived ranged in age from 30 to 55. 2 were not able to walk out, but they are expected to be okay.
Fox's Claudia Cowan in Sausalito. The skiers were on the last day of the backcountry trip. The area near Donner's Summit was closed for nearly a century before it was reopened in 2020. The Pima County Sheriff says they continue to sift through evidence in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie after DNA collected on a glove found near the scene did not match any profile in the FBI database.
The Sheriff's Department writing, investigators are currently looking into additional investigative genetic genealogy options for DNA evidence to check for matches. CODIS is one option of many databases that are available.
Fox's Matt Finn in Tucson. The Department of Homeland Security remains shut down as members of Congress are in recess. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt criticized the plan from Democrats to end the stalemate.
Last night, they sent over a counter proposal that, frankly, was very unserious, and we hope they get serious very soon because Americans are going to be impacted by this.
The shutdown does not affect ICE or Customs and Border Protection. They are paid with funding from the passage of last year's Big Beautiful Bill. It does affect the departments like FEMA and the TSA. America's listening to Fox News.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return,
but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Partly to mostly sunny skies this afternoon. Windy from the south. 72 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy, 49. Thursday, partly sunny. Cold front coming in, swinging the winds to the northwest in the afternoon on Thursday with a fast batch of scattered showers and possible thunderstorms. Windy and 73, but dropping temperatures during the afternoon. 38 Thursday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
I feel like today should be a Thursday, but it's not. It's a Wednesday. I believe that means tomorrow is going to be a Thursday, and then we get into Friday. We get our Fish Fry broadcast, which start this week at Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church near Soulard. We'd love to see you. We're going to do a live Reardon Roundtable. We'll have all the regular stuff in the 4 o'clock hour. And then our friend George Gray, who is the voice of The Price is Right every day with Drew Carey, the #1 rated daytime show in America, on the planet. George is from St. Louis here and hanging with Mama May this week, who's having a birthday coming up, too, a big birthday. But he's going to do a little game we like to call The Price is Wrong, and that will be live 5 o'clock in the 5 o'clock hour at the Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church. Next week, we go to Cottleville, the 6th of March, South County, at I'm going to read that. Annunciation Catholic, St. Mary Magdalene in Brentwood. We had to change the one for March 6th, so I'm a little confused. March 20th, Queen of All Saints, and then we go to Otts and finishing out in Millstown, Illinois on March 27th. So a lot of fun getting out and meeting people. We're trying to get Jane to come by to one of these, too. She's got the new gig with the Attorney General, but we thought we'd still invite her to come by. We have Duane Patterson with us tonight, the host of the Duane's World podcast and contributor at hotair.com. How are you, Duane?
I am doing grand. Every time you mention the name Drew Carey brings a smile to my face, not because of The Price is Right, although he is fine. He is very equitable as the host of The Price is Right. I miss him from Whose Line Is It Anyway? I'm sorry I go back that far. That was the finest show on television.
He did a pretty good job with that. You would love George. George is a really interesting guy, and he's got, I feel like I've got a pretty good gig. I think you've got a pretty good gig. I mean, I still get to do what I love.
My gig.
Yeah, but I mean, listen to this. So George is, if I get this correctly, because he told me this last time, they're literally on hiatus now until August. So they do, I think they do a couple a day when they do the tapings. They try to do 5 in 4 days or 5 in 3 days, I think it is. But because of some scheduling stuff, he doesn't have to go back and do any tapings until August. That's a really good gig, isn't it?
That's a fine gig. I think Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, their half-hour shows, they're able to do 5 in a day.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they do an entire season in 2 months or something like that.
And I do think that they cranked a bunch out before the end of the year, but that's kind of amazing. But he's a lot of fun, and we do have a lot of fun with the game that we'll play, and we'll do it live on Sunday. Where do you want to start here? You want to start with Iran? I had Jim Talon on earlier this afternoon. I know you've been predicting war for a while overseas. It looks like we're finally getting closer, right?
Boy, it sure looks like it. We have a military buildup of assets and personnel, the likes that has not been seen since the Afghanistan campaign back in 2001 or 2002 when it got going, or the Iraq campaign in 2003. Basically, almost everything that flies is in the region. We have something like 6 of these AWAC planes. The early advanced warning systems, the ones that control the monitoring of the skies. We got 6 of those over in the area. We've got subs. We've got ships. The thing that makes it kind of interesting as to the timing of it is apparently the Iranians have now signaled all of their first responders, you now have to be on call basically 24/7 for the immediate future because we are expecting a mass casualty attack in any time. So they're trying to have their first responders on call. Everybody knows it's coming. What hour? I don't know, but it's coming.
Well, Kushner and Witkoff were in Geneva talking with the foreign minister yesterday. I don't know why Iran would want to bring this on themselves. I mean, obviously this is really framed around striking a nuclear deal. They've been trying to do this for months. Why you'd want to get the living crap bombed out of you if you didn't have an example of that from last summer, I have no idea. But when you're talking about what's gathering there, you're not kidding. I mean, there is an arsenal that's there, and he's ready to go. So is there still a diplomatic possibility? No. Yeah, I think there is, but it's not looking very likely.
I don't think it's likely, and here's the mistake that we in the West keep making with the mullahs in Iran, with regards to Russia. Right? They are not a religiosity-based regime in Russia. Right? They have this life here, and then when this life is over with, it's pretty much that's it. So you can do mutually assured destruction on them and threaten them with that. And that will work to a degree because to the Russians, they don't technically want to die, right? Whereas this theocratic regime in Iran, the sect of Shia Islam in which they believe or profess to believe is a very apocalyptic strain where they have to bring in some sort of calamity world falling apart scenario, which uncaps this hidden imam somewhere, and that's going to be their savior. And if all else fails, they go to wherever paradise is, and they get their 76 virgins, and it's no harm, no foul. If they truly believe all this stuff, and sometimes you've got to take people at their word. If that's truly what they believe, and they are being driven by their religiosity, their religious zealotism or zealotry, you can't negotiate with that because they're not operating on a different plane. Mutually assured destruction doesn't matter to people that don't care if they're here or not. They think their Mahdi is going to come save them.
Yeah, I know. I think you're right about that, but I don't know how things happen and then they go away. And what I'm referring to is, all the protests from a few weeks ago. We saw all this stuff that was happening in the streets of Iran, and you always get hopeful that there's going to be regime change where something will happen. I don't know how that might tie into whatever bombing campaign we're about to start here, but I think that the hope is that things might change more permanently in Iran, and I still don't see a pathway for that. But let's talk about some other things here. This was, I want your opinion on Colbert and all this stuff going back and forth about the claims. Here's some claims on the part of Democrats.
An attack on any one of our First Amendment rights is an attack on all of our First Amendment rights.
I think it probably gave my opponent the boost he was looking for. So I think it's probably better that he didn't get on and that they went straight to streaming.
Yeah, that's Jasmine Crockett there. Here's where it all happened the other night.
You know who is not one of my guests tonight? That's Texas State Representative James Tallarico. He was supposed to be here, but we were told in no uncertain terms by our network's lawyers, who called us directly, that we could not have him on the broadcast. And because my network clearly doesn't want us to talk about this, let's talk about this.
Well, he kind of lied about it. By the way, there's a guy, Tallarico. No one ever heard about him. No one ever heard of him, period, until 2 days ago. So he gets a big fundraising boost. But yeah, Colbert lied about what happened.
Yeah, there's no kinda involved. They lied about it. They totally gaslit everybody about it. And, of course, everybody in media and elected Democratic politics rallied behind it and bought it hook, line, and sinker like it was the next Russiagate. Now, you are probably second, maybe only to me, as far as grabbing video cuts, because you're really good at grabbing this stuff. Did you see Brendan Carr of the FCC today?
Might have that cut, but yeah, I saw something on Twitter. I don't think I have it right now.
Brendan Carr basically called out the media and said, this is why people trust gas station sushi more than they trust the mainstream media.
I retweeted that because I thought the quote was so good. But yeah, exactly. Now, I don't like any kind of undue government influence. I've made that very clear. But
there was
that's
no influence.
Exactly.
There was. Look, you're on radio. You are on afternoons on a FCC licensed radio station in St. Louis. I produce a radio show that is heard on 500 stations all over the country that are all FCC licensed stations. Okay, we have rules with which we have to play that have been thus since what, 1927, 1934 when it was codified, 1959 when all the exemptions were made and there was a revision to the actual congressional statute. And what that rule is, if we are to give time to a candidate, and we are not a quote-unquote hard news, like a nightly news program, if we are to give time to somebody and somebody else is a candidate, they get equal time. You've got to give them their bite at the apple. It doesn't have to be second for second, but you've got to give them a bite at the apple. This has never not been thus in virtually all the people that are involved in this, their adult lifetime. These are the rules that have been in place. This is not a brand new ruling that the FCC came down with in some draconian Big Brother-esque fashion. It's always been thus, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well,
so the whole
and it's very specific, too. It applies in election cycles 30 days before a primary, 60 before a general. So, in most times, this stuff never needs to be enforced because people police themselves to a certain extent. Well, to a large extent.
because everybody's got a brain, and most of the radio stations have a legal team that tell them and remind them periodically that you have to do this.
Yeah.
You've got to give equal time. The delicious part about this is when all is said and done, what you have is a lefty who has done fundraisers for Democrats, quite often Stephen Colbert. His wife is a Democratic politician. And what they chose to do is we want to pick the best possible nominee as early voting is beginning in Texas for Senate. We think Tallarico's got a better shot than Jasmine Crockett does. So we're going to screw over the African-American woman because we want to play favorites, and we're going to blame the boogeyman at the FCC who had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. Now, one thing that I was worried about, because you could almost say, look, it's Texas. You're not going to elect a Democrat to a Senate seat. Some of the polling is a little tighter than I would have expected with Tallarico and with Jasmine Crockett. He actually does better, which is why I think you're pointing out that, Colbert is trying to pick a winner here. But it would be expected that a Republican is not going to lose that seat.
The only way that the Democrats have a mathematical possibility of a steal here is if the Republicans nominate Ken Paxton and the Democrats nominate James Tallarico. That's their best heads-up matchup.
Why is that? So why? Because it's Cornyn would be the other choice. So why is Paxton so challenged there?
Because Paxton he's got this habit of not playing well with others. He's got more personal baggage. His likability isn't as high as John Cornyn. In a general election, I'm not talking about a primary. In a general, John Cornyn will get all the normies in Texas that are even Democratic leaning. He's just respected. He's got a very high name ID, and most people in Texas think he's kind of a normal guy when it comes to a general election. They think that Ken Paxton is kind of a showboat and kind of a ham, and that may sing in a primary, but in a general election, that's not exactly what they want.
So why wouldn't, I guess because he's picking favorites, but why wouldn't, if you're Stephen Colbert, maybe it's because your show's going off the air, why don't you take advantage of this and get Jasmine Crockett on the next night?
Well, you would think so, except that Jasmine Crockett, I think even Colbert knows she's a lunatic.
Well, there is that.
But
you know what, Duane? She's our lunatic from right here in St. Louis.
This is absolutely correct, but you're asking why. Stephen Colbert is a comedian at times, allegedly, at least so I'm told. But the one thing he is he's trying to be strategic. He's trying to use the time he's got left and try to do something to maybe steal and get a Senate seat back. And this is their most tactical way of doing it.
Did you hear this question today at the briefing?
Yesterday, in his statement about Jesse Jackson, the president said, despite the fact that I'm falsely and consistently called a racist by the scoundrels and lunatics on the radical left, Democrats all, it was always my pleasure to help Jesse along the way. Where or when does the president believe he's been falsely called racist?
You're kidding, right? No. I will pull you plethora of examples. I'm going to get my team in that room to start going through the internet of radical Democrats throughout the years, Ed, who have accused this president falsely of being a racist. And I'm sure there's many people in this room and on network television across the country who have accused him of the same. In fact, I know that because I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah, so that was Ed O'Keefe from CBS who was asking the question. But, the operative word there is falsely. That's what I'm sure they'll fall back on because Carolyn, I hope they do this, by the way, present all this montage of them calling a racist and all this stuff. But what Ed will say is, well, I said falsely accused, and he's been properly accused of being a racist all those other times.
Oh, Mark, my brother from a different mother. The White House has actually done what you asked them to in the last hour.
See, I haven't seen it yet, so I was hoping.
Don Lemon, they got a clip of Don Lemon in 2020 opening his primetime show by saying, quote, "The President of the United States is racist," and a lot of us already knew that. The Boston Globe from 2018, "Is Trump a racist?" ? The answer for many seems to be yes. The fun part about this is right below the clip of Caroline Leavitt laughing at the premise of Ed O'Keefe's question because it's so just absurd on his face that he has no idea that the charges have been done. Ed O'Keefe himself on July 16, 2019 on X, watch, President Trump receives backlash and support over his racist tweet.
Yeah.
AM Green, CBS, and I discussed that and the latest campaign news on CBS this morning back on the road to 2020. He himself did it.
But again, what he'll say is, I promise you, they'll say, well, my question was, where was he falsely accused? We're not falsely accusing him. We're just telling you that he's a racist.
Well, okay, fine. You go with that. Again, if that's the fight we want to have, if that's the terrain, I'm willing to fight on that terrain all day long. I have no problem
But you know that that's what they'll do.
Of course it is, because they lie and they cheat. They're basically Canadian curlers.
Isn't that something?
By the way, hi, Sue.
Yeah.
I thought of Canadian curlers.
You barely got it in there because we got to wrap up. Duane Patterson.
I know. I got it in.
Awesome.
By the way, Canadian curling stones and Dylan Mulvaney and Tim/Sarah McBride out of Delaware. What do they all have in common?
I don't know. What?
Every 4 years they get the finger.
Oh, my gosh. Duane Patterson, we're out of here.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Some issues on the roads tonight. Southbound 55, though. Just the usual volume headed down toward Bates in the construction zone, but some moderate volume headed for 141. Southbound 270, slow pockets from Olive down through Gravois. Northbound is pretty slow, approaching Manchester up through Ladue Road. Southbound 170, slowing at 6440. Now, if you're westbound on 6440 at slow pockets Kings Highway, out through McCausland, Boone's Crossing, Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 70, some moderate volume in pockets Jennings Station Road through O'Fallon. The big jam is for drivers headed into Illinois on the Poplar Street Bridge and coming off of the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. Road work eastbound 64 between 15th Street and 25th Street to blame. They've got the right lanes blocked in that area. This report is brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. They do windows, siding, kitchens, baths, outdoor spaces, and give you quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Go to lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
So there was a piece that was in the Atlantic a few days ago, and it has been described as gut-wrenching, and it was the account of a mother confronting her child's death from measles. But the problem was the whole thing was made up. I'll explain coming up.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsend. Many of our clients are victims of negligent drivers. They put their trust in us, and we help them recover physically and financially. Their words carry more weight than ours.
They guided me through every step of the legal process with clarity and expertise, ensuring that I always felt informed and supported.
Injured? Call Kaufman Townsley. It costs you nothing to call, but may cost you everything if you don't. Call 314-777-7777.
Meet Linda. She's stuck in a school pickup line, thinking about what to make for dinner. Are the kids' practice jerseys clean? If she sent out that last email before leaving work. But you know what she's not thinking about? Her HVAC system. Linda is a preferred partner with Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. Members get 2 HVAC system checks per year. We clean and inspect your HVAC systems at each visit. Partners also get priority service and exclusive discounts starting at just $19 per month. Life is chaos, but with Air Comfort Service, you'll have peace of mind with your HVAC system. Visit aircomfortservice.com today. After all, comfort is our middle name.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IBW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
At Graybar, we know your time is money. That's why our services go beyond parts and products. With kitting, pre-assembly, wire carts, and Graybar smart reels that keep you moving. We stage materials and manage logistics so you can spend less time sorting and more time installing. And with locations nationwide, we deliver when and where you need it, working to make your job easier every step of the way. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, so in the spring of 2020, you might remember that was the year that we were just, closing things down for 2 weeks for a cure, and then everything was back open again and the world was normal. But in that spring of 2020, we were all confused about a lot of things, and I started seeing some pieces that were in The Atlantic, and I'd never subscribed to The Atlantic. Derek Thompson, I think, was writing, and I was intrigued because he had some different perspectives, and I kept meeting the paywall. So I subscribed to The Atlantic for, I think, $35 a month. It's unbelievable how expensive it was. I did get a hard copy in the mail every month as well. But I canceled about a year ago because, not that they weren't off the rails lefty wacko back then, but I did see some pieces that weren't your traditional politics that I find value in, or I found value in, but then they kind of completely lost me, especially because I was paying $35 a month. But listen to this story. Now, again, I mentioned they kind of have carved out a little bit of a niche for themselves with some of the health reporting. But you had last week, and the Washington Post actually wrote about this. The Washington Post framed it this way. They said, when Kelly McBride read Elizabeth Brunig's essay in The Atlantic about a child's death from measles complications, she was moved and quickly shared the story on Facebook. She hadn't realized that the Brunig family had been ravaged by the virus and that the well-known journalist had lost a child. So McBride is someone who's described as a media ethicist and the senior vice president at the Poynter Institute, which is a journalism, based think tank, if you will. And what happened here, Sue, this is unbelievable. The whole story that you read here in The Atlantic from Ms. Brunig, and it's this account of a mother's experience learning her child will die of the long-term effects of measles. And what happened is she tells this story about being together in a group of other kids, and there was someone who was unvaccinated and ended up, getting the measles. So it details this scenario where there's two unvaccinated children. They're at a birthday party, and they catch measles from an infected but asymptomatic child. And the story says your daughter behaves normally over the next week while the virus slowly spreads inside her, infecting immune cells that carry it into the lymph nodes where it replicates and spreads at a rapid pace. Now, side note here, you might remember Fred yesterday was reporting, and we had a couple of cases that were confirmed here in St. Louis of the measles, right? But they did this whole story. It's gut-wrenching. It sounds awful, right? And then at the bottom of the story, it's a 3,000-word piece. Okay, so that's long. That's a lot of reading there. There's a little disclaimer that basically says this isn't true. This is just conjecture on the part of the author. The story is based on extensive reporting and interviews with physicians, including those who have cared directly for patients with measles. But it wasn't true. The story that she wrote didn't happen. It was completely made up. It was a hypothetical. Now, I would argue that if at the beginning of the essay at The Atlantic, you make it very clear that this is not, something that really happened, but it's a hypothetical, I don't think you're in that much trouble because you're being honest with people. But there were so many people. And here's what happens. I did this, this. I did this yesterday with an email that went out about one of our engineers because our chief engineer was kind of joking about one of our other engineers leaving. And I only read halfway down, and she wasn't leaving. She was being promoted into a full-time position. So remember I said yesterday, oh, we lost another employee. Well, we didn't. So I read, not
just
enough of an email. But in this case, people do that. It's a 3,000-word deal. So they're reading this, they're getting the gist of it, and they're like, oh, my God, I got to share this, and they have to put it on Facebook, et cetera. So there were physicians that were, a lot of readers and everything. They said, oh, this was very powerful. It's an important piece. Tragically realistic story, exquisitely described by Ms. Brunig. I'm a pediatrician who's never seen a case of measles, but I'm awaiting my first one. Okay. But others were like, hey, this was made up, and I trusted The Atlantic. I feel foolish that I told my husband about this as if it were the truth. Glad I didn't share it with my sisters. We're all pro-vaccines, and I'm concerned this story masquerading as a first-person memoir will encourage people on the edge to blow off vaccines. So they quote a lot of people in the Washington Post article about the piece criticizing it, saying, look, this was irresponsible. This was reckless on the part of the Atlantic to put this in to the magazine or online. I don't know if it's in the hard copy yet, with no disclaimer until the bottom. But that's pretty deceptive, isn't it?
Yes,
I would say. Again, what's the problem? I guess maybe you don't think people are going to get to the end of the article that way. What's the problem with putting something at the beginning saying, look, we got a measles breakout in this country. It's very unusual. We should take it seriously. Here is an account that is hypothetical, which could be real based on our research. They didn't do that.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a jam on westbound 6440. It's in the usual area, which means Kings Highway in pockets out through 270. And then you get a break and slows again out at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Similar on westbound 70, only lighter traffic. So slow pockets out through the 70 split. Southbound 170 slowing, headed down towards 64, because eastbound it's slowing on either side of 170. And we've got southbound 270 with mainly moderate volume approaching Olive down through about, well, we'll call it just south of 44. And northbound is still slow, headed on up toward Ladue Road. If you're headed into Illinois, that's the worst. The Poplar Street Bridge is just jammed. There's road work eastbound 64 between 15th Street and 25th Street, and that's created a jam there and coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. Southbound 55 is slow, headed down toward Bates. This report is brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. They have been around St. Louis for 100 years, and they know Midwest winters take a real toll on your garage. They can come out and perform their 26-point tune-up on your garage door and opener. One price for 3 garage doors and openers. Go to overheaddoorstlewis.com. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Is it just a random question? Is it busy on the roads today?
Oh,
by
my
any chance?
gosh.
Yeah, right? Real busy.
Yes.
Jeff Rainford coming up here. There's a story in the Business Journal that is not very complimentary of the infrastructure of the city of St. Louis. And when I'm talking infrastructure, I'm even talking about City Hall, which is kind of literally falling apart. We'll get to that here in a second. I have audio cut of the day. I've gotten to know Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. Stewie is Stuart Rosenblum. And look, I've heard Annie talk about Stewie and the bagel loan for a long time. And I met him at our birthday party in the fall. One thing I will tell you is if you've heard about the bagel loan, you've heard about how you pay 0 fees and other lenders are going to charge for a lot of things. Stu is such an engaging person. He's so interesting. The backstory is fascinating. One of the reasons that he's so confident in helping you is we give you a cell phone. So I would say if you've heard about the bagel loan, you're curious about this, maybe you think rates are too high to refinance, get that all out of your mind for now. Have a conversation with Stewie. So here's his cell phone, 314-324-4440. Send him a text. Say, hey, I'd like to hear about what you do and what's different with Stewart's American Mortgage compared to the other companies. How is the bagel loan different? How is that going to save me thousands of dollars? How can you close in as little as 10 days? He's going to tell you all that. He's very transparent. Google the bagel loan or call or text 314-324-4440 for Stewart and Stewie's American Mortgage. NMLS number 226715.
Mark Cox for my friends at Zero Res. For 1 week only, you can get a post-Valentine's flash sale. 3 rooms for $109 plus a 4th room free. That's a savings of $161 here in the St. Louis area. You have to book by the 20th of February to get the deal. And remember to tell them that Mark Cox sent you. Go online today to ZeroResSTL.com. That's ZeroResSTL.com.
One of the biggest gifts you can give your family is peace of mind. That's why I trust and recommend Civia Law. They've helped so many families, including mine, right here in our community with estate planning, wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and elder law issues. I've seen how stressful it can be when a loved one passes without a plan. Families are left confused, sometimes tied up in probate court, and it can cost so much in time and money. But with Civia Law, you don't have to worry about that. They'll walk you through everything and even deliver your completed documents in just 2 weeks from your first appointment. And here's something special just for you. Mention the Annie Fry Show, and the first 10 listeners right now will get a free strategy session. That's a $300 value. 833-995-WILL. Just be sure to mention the Annie Fry Show when you call. Civia Law has 7 convenient locations across Illinois and Missouri, including in Edwardsville, Swansea, and Creve Coeur. Secure your legacy and protect the people you love. Call 833-995-WILL. That's 833-995-WILL, or visit CiviaLaw.com. TritonExteriors.com.
Triton Exteriors, St. Louis roofing, siding, and gutter systems. We'll take care of you and your home. We're #1 in the Ladue, Kirkwood, and Webster area. James Hardy certified. Visit Triton.stl.com to be connected with a James Hardy expert and receive a free estimate. Triton-stl.com or call 314-717-1159. That's 314-717-1159. Triton Exteriors, St. Louis #1 James Hardy specialists.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
From Wood River to Weldon Springs, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I think one of the best reporters, journalists, print reporters in St. Louis is Jacob Kern, who's the managing editor for the St. Louis Business Journal. And he shared this story with me today that they broke. The city of St. Louis has a lot of infrastructure needs. So here are the numbers, $225.8 million, and that's in critical infrastructure needs, but only $48 to $49 million in annual funding. They say the city hall, courts, buildings, fire stations require millions in repairs for failing roofs, HVAC systems, and structural damage. The city risks losing federal transportation grants without allocating local matching funds for street and bridge projects. Now, some of this comes as no surprise to me because I remember talking about infrastructure, including, by the way, they talk in this report about City Hall. It's falling apart. There's leaks in the roof of that. But when Mayor Slade was the mayor, I remember talking to Jeff Rainford, who's with me right now, about infrastructure needs and fixing up City Hall. So this is not exactly new. Jeff, how are you? But we've kicked the can quite a bit, haven't we?
We have, and I agree with you. Jacob's a good story, but it's actually worse than he reported because he left out the water department. The water department is a standalone thing, right? So City Hall doesn't subsidize it and City Hall doesn't get money from it. But our water system, one of the best in the country, needs about $350, $400 million in capital improvements also.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's after 44% water rate hikes over the last 15 years. So, yeah, we got a really, really old city, one of the oldest cities west of the Mississippi. As you said, over time, including during our administration, used baling wire and chewing gum to kind of hold it together, and eventually that doesn't work anymore.
So, I mean, legit, Jeff, what do you do here? Because these needs are real, they're building, and the more you kick the can, I even said this earlier, like if you would have done some of the stuff 10 years ago, I bet the price of this is like 30 to 40% higher than what you would have had back then.
Listen, I think that Mayor Spencer is doing a really good job. She's off to a great start. She's very popular in the city. But, man, I feel sorry for her.
Yeah.
What you really would normally have to do is you have to cut your operating budget in order to set money aside for the capital, or you raise property taxes, issue a bond issue, and raise property taxes. But the operating budget's under a lot of pressure now because under state control, the state board is increasing police salaries by 7%. So firefighters under the charter, their salary goes up by 7%. They're going to restore lifetime health care. So the police budget is going to be going up. So the operating budget is really under a lot of pressure. The city does have a very large surplus. So one of the things they could do is they could talk about using some of that surplus. They probably have more than the rating agencies even recommend that they have to have. But with the pressure on the operating budget, I mean, you can't cut public safety for infrastructure. So really what they're going to have to do is what they're doing, which is prioritize. They're probably going to have to consider going out for a bond issue, which is a property tax increase. And the problem with that is people all over the state, including the city of St. Louis, think their property taxes are too high.
There's no way that passes. Yeah, there's no way that passes.
And then when you do have a little extra money with the Rams money, you're looking at all the tornado damage in North St. Louis, which they're going to probably have to use at least some of the Rams money. And then downtown, you work downtown, you know what's going on with the private buildings in downtown. And so she's got I almost feel sorry for it. And I mean, she wanted the job, but boy, it is going to be hard.
It's almost impossible. I mean, you cannot tell me, and in this reporting, when I let you go, I'm going to kind of give the audience a little bit more of a sample of some of the projects that they're talking about. And, if you don't get on this now, you're continuing to kick the can. It's hard for me to believe that some of these places aren't going to be just, unusable in the future. They talk about like one of the, let me see here, let me go down in the story. The Wool Recreation Center in Kingsway West. I'm unfamiliar with that, but there's an exterior glass block wall, and they're rusting, and the wall is actually bowing.
Oh.
So that is a huge structural problem or foundation. He says that's a $3 million project, and that's just a start, right? They may find bigger issues with that. So there's things here that if you don't jump on them now, they're going to just crumble.
Well, that's already happened. I mean, the West End Community Center at Del Mar and Union is closed simply because it wasn't, it's a really, really super old building built in the 30s, and there wasn't any money to keep it up, and it finally was not usable. It was dangerous, and they had to close it. I mean, we're lucky that the Taylors put money into the Soldiers Memorial, or
Right.
it would be in trouble. I don't think there are any easy answers. I do know that they will have to prioritize. $50 million is not nothing. They'll be able to take care of some things. The way capital generally works in the city is unless they raise taxes, they take half of the budget surplus at the end of the year. So they had a large budget surplus last year because they've been having trouble filling positions, police, fire, everywhere else. So the large budget surplus, half of that goes into a rainy day account, and half of it goes to capital. They may just have to, be thinking about 100% of that going into capital, but then you put yourself in a precarious situation with your operating budget with your rising public safety costs.
When you say a large surplus, what are we talking about?
Well, I mean, they're saying that I haven't followed the story as carefully as Jacob have, but if they have $50 million for capital, that must mean that they had a very large surplus if half of the surplus goes into the capital. I can't imagine they had a $100 million surplus, but they must have had a $40 or $50 million surplus with $25 million. So I'm making up the number, but it has to be in somewhere in that kind of a range. And, what happens when the surpluses go away and they become deficits, like it's happening out in St. Louis County? It's a very tough task, and the tornado really made it from a difficult task to a virtually, I wouldn't say impossible, but boy, it's approaching impossible.
Yeah, I think it is too. I'm going to run down some of the projects, but Jeff, thanks so much for coming on here with me. Are you in Florida or here?
I'm in Florida, back and forth. We'll get together for dinner maybe the first week of March.
The only reason I was asking is because it was like 72 here today, dude. It was beautiful. You could have golfed here today. How about that?
I've been following the weather, and it sounds amazing. You got at least one more spell.
No, I know.
Cold weather.
Of course. All right. We'll see you here in St. Louis soon. Thank you, Rainford. All right. Take care. All right. So in Jacob's article, he talked about all kinds of things. Some of them are, road projects like the Riverview Boulevard reconstruction. It's a $19.7 million project. Kings Highway traffic signal modernization. That's $11.2. The Compton Avenue Bridge, $27 million project. The Southwest Columbia Bridge, $9.1 million. The Old Stable Bridge in Forest Park, I'm not sure exactly which one that is, but that's more than 100 years old. You have to replace that, full replacement. They don't give a number for that. The Jewel Box in Forest Park, which had some work after the tornado, it needs $5 million in major work to address deterioration.
What? That's a moneymaker. People get married there. They have events, and they pay for them. So if they were to fix that, they could at least make some money.
That would be one of those things. I'm not saying, because we just heard government can't do all this, but the Jewel Box in particular, or Forest Park, you would almost hope that someone could step in philanthropically and do that.
Oh,
right?
It would be great.
The Lyle House, which is Carondelet Park, right? That's fenced off because it's still fenced off?
Oh, yeah, because it burned. And it doesn't look great, but they've had to fence it off because of that. And,
How long has it been fenced off?
Oh, it's been a while.
Oh, my. Because I remember that the fire. Okay, so that's $3 million.
It's been months.
And they say, look, that's restored at $3 million or demolished. You don't want to demolish. It's beautiful.
And it's a historic part of the whole area there, but what are you going to do?
Fire department needs across roughly 30 stations. They need HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and flooring. They need training tower renovation, $7 million for the fire department, but $47 million in critical vehicle needs for the department. So they need vehicles as well. Police department needs, of course they have needs, including replacing an 18-year-old radio communication system approaching the end of manufacturer support. That's a priority. Okay, you got to get that fixed. That's not something you can put at the bottom of the list. They also need to replace 911 call logging recorders that have experienced performance issues. That, again, that's a priority.
Yes.
You have police buildings that require HVAC replacements and plumbing repairs. So the list goes on and on and on here. Just the roof replacement for City Hall. If you look at City Hall, it's an embarrassment. It needs to be. It's such a beautifully,
it is.
Architecturally, it's such a beautiful building. But the roof, just the roof, is $3 million. And if you start doing the whole renovation to the exterior, which, by the way, would take years, right?
Oh.
it would be how many millions?
Oh, lots.
So I'm glad I'm not the mayor of St. Louis. But it's depressing because, you know, if we can maybe start to head in the direction of more positivity downtown, less crime. We have a mayor that seems hyper-focused. Well, she is hyper-focused on the city, not on Gaza and all this other stuff. Maybe you can make progress. But with these math equations here, it's very difficult to stay optimistic.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, on the roads, there's a new accident. This one eastbound 6440 near McKnight. And they've got the right lanes blocked. Oh, come on, camera. Pull up for me again. But, yeah, so there's some volume through there. Now, westbound traffic is still slow, approaching Hampton out through McCausland and pockets out through 270. Then you get a big break, and it's not slow again until Prospect. Now, 70 is great out of downtown. There's some slow going past the airport, and then things improve. And if you're headed into Illinois, road work causing massive delays on the Poplar and coming off of the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. Southbound 55 is slowing headed down toward Bates in the construction zone there. This report brought to you by Artistic Decks. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Spring is here. Replace your old deck with Artistic Decks. Get rollback prices and A-plus BBB craftsmanship. We're Platinum TimberTech installers, ready to build your dream by summer. Call 314-280-0821 today for a free design.
Well, we had a great event last night. Thomas Helbig was not there, but his nephew Bob Kershaw and Bob's wife Tammy were there to lead the seminar that we have. It was the first of 5. Mark and Annie and I. Actually, it was pretty interesting. Mark Cox did a video. He had some, I think he was out of town or something. Well,
he is. Yeah, he's in Montana.
So he did a video, but it played very well.
Oh, good.
He looked great. And, you know, Mark was in the financial services industry for a while, so he has a great perspective when he does the intro when we're with Thomas in the game. But we had a great group of listeners out there last night. You know who was in the room? Tim Fitch, former St. Louis County Police Chief. Yeah, he was there listening to what they have to offer at the Retirement Advisory Group. Now, we don't have a date for the next seminar. It will likely be in March or April. I'll give you words on that and some information as soon as I can. The good news is you don't have to wait. You can go right one-on-one into the office. You'll get a free copy of their book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. They have a process that's a little different than the brokerage houses. They want to lock in your gains and give you, you know, the secrets to all this, and they're not really secrets. There's obviously a lot of money on the line for your retirement, but they're going to give you a strategy that's going to make your gains locked in. You're not going to lose your principal. That's what they're all about at the Retirement Advisory Group. Call, make an appointment, 314-993-9494, online, retirementkey.com.
Mark Cox here. I get to attend President Trump's State of the Union address, and I'm taking you with me. We'll have real-time reaction and the Mark Cox Morning Show live from the Fox News D.C. Bureau, February 24th and 25th, sponsored by Correll Roofing and Golden Oak Lending.
When you've been injured in an accident, hurt on the job, or in a medical mishap, there are many reasons to call Morgan & Morgan. But here's reason number 5. We try more cases than anyone in America by a wide margin. We are on approximately 150 dockets a week and win a lot. Go to forthepeople.com to see our verdicts and results. I believe our results give you the best chance of a fair, fast, and just settlement. Insurance companies know who we are by reputation. Imagine me doing this ad if it wasn't true. They would be laughing. Trust me, nobody is laughing. Their employees and adjusters often hire us when they're hurt. They know, and now you know. All law firms are not alike, not even close. With over $30 billion collected for our clients, we became America's largest injury firm for a reason. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
We depend on our roofs to keep us dry and protected year-round. That's why the roofing company you choose is so important. Mark Cox here for my friends at Correll Roofing Company. You can trust my friend Curtis Correll. And here's one thing he'll tell you right now, and it's his experience. A lot of roofing companies will try to install roofs when the temperature is below freezing. And here's what you need to know. Curtis has been praised by a lot of people in the industry because he will not install a roof on those cold days. He said that shingle manufacturers will deny warranty claims if that roof is installed on a sub 40 degree day. Did you know that? That's why honesty is important. If your insurance company has denied coverage for your roof, call Curtis at Correll Roofing. He loves working with insurance companies. He would be happy to get a second assessment from them. Call him at 314 844-222-9529. Tell him Mark Cox sent you. You can go online anytime at CorrellRoofingCo.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You know, before the show, I kind of write a bunch of things down on kind of like a playlist here, things that I want to make sure that I talk about. I got to most of those today. The one issue that's kind of sad, Sue, that I didn't touch on, I just wanted to bring it up because you and I think a good portion of the audience, and Fred, we love our animals. But did you see the story? We lost this giraffe at the St. Louis Zoo.
Yes.
Ella was her name. She was 15 and a half years old. She had chronic arthritis, go figure, and she got extensive medical treatment. I guess things turned very poorly with some complications over the weekend, and on February 13th, she could not stand in the giraffe barn, so they had to make the decision to euthanize her, unfortunately. But she was there at the zoo since 2012 and was known as one of the tallest giraffes. She's remembered, it says in the story here from Fox 2, for her independent yet joyful personality while exploring her new home 14 years ago. So that's a little sad.
It is sad.
We lose animals like that. It's been a little bit since I've been to the zoo. You know, you're in that. We were in that area with Alexa for a while. You know, when kids are little, you basically go every week.
Yes,
right?
tire everybody out.
Now there's so many other things. Not that I don't love our zoo, but there's so many different things pulling us in different directions that sometimes it's hard to get there. All right, I have several things for this segment here.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Well, this is one of my favorites.
Here's the thing. I don't want impeachment. I don't want them to serve time. I want them taken into the city town square, hung from their ankles, and cut them from groin to chin.
That's just a lefty.
Sounds healthy.
It's just a lefty they them. I can't really tell you exactly what she is, but she is very angry, and she was talking about Republicans and conservatives and anyone who likes Donald Trump. She wants them basically hung up. At least she was being honest about her feelings. Some of them kind of, keep their feelings to themselves. Trump today held, actually, it's one of those events that sometimes when I'm doing the show, so, I'll go live and we'll see what he's doing. And if it's teleprompter Trump, I'll dip out of it. But this was during the 2:00 hour. I was in my office and I was listening. It's Black History Month. And he had an amazing event with African Americans in the Oval Office that was just quite something.
Wow, that's neat.
It's unfortunate that people can't hear it because, first of all, this will get the left crazy. There was a bunch of black people in the Oval Office that were cheering 4 more years. I swear to God. So that'll definitely be something that pisses off the CNN folks. And then, you know who his BFF is these days?
Who?
Nicki Minaj.
Oh, that's right.
I love Nicki Minaj. She was here a couple of weeks ago. She's so beautiful. Her skin's so beautiful. I said, Nicki is so beautiful. Her nails are like that long. I said, Nicki, are they real? She said, she didn't want to get into that. But she was so beautiful and so great. And she gets it, more importantly, frankly, she gets it.
President Trump was shouting out some of the legendary, black artists in history, and Chuck Berry got a nice shutout from the Oval Office today. And then there's this. Jennifer Welch is someone who is a lefty podcaster. She's been on CNN with Scott Jennings, so she goes on a different podcast. And if you don't know what Jennifer Welch looks like, see, this story that I'm about to share, Sue, you kind of have to know a little bit what Jennifer looks like because she's kind of got this sourpuss face, and what makes this soundbite that I'm about to play you so unique is it's about Scott Jennings' face. So she's on with someone called Zeteo, Zeteo. He's annoying as well, but just listen to this here.
Listen to this one, he says, picking up his mug and making that face of his.
Okay.
Why does he have such an annoying face?
Okay. This old queen sitting there. He's always looking like he acts like he's on the Truman Show or something. He's always looking in the audience.
He said recently to Adam Friedland he sees his role as like a WWE wrestler, like a performance.
Oh, he said that?
Yeah,
he admitted it?
He admitted it.
Oh. Yeah, I think that he should be fired from his job. Of course, that's never going to happen. But I think he is such a disgrace to human beings, intelligent conversations, to the truth.
He's not interested in the truth. He's already admitted he's a performer. He's entertaining, and he's playing to an audience of one, which is Donald Trump.
You know what's amazing to me, Maddie, is how submissive all of these men are. They want to beat women down and make us submissive. And I'm like, y'all are the most submissive group of men
Literally
I have ever seen.
Gosh, I don't see that at all. And she is so... Now, if I'm Jennings, and we were on a baseball string, with Scott and Joe Arnold, our friend in Louisville, and we were sharing some baseball stuff today, and basically all I said, he didn't respond, I want to know, only thing I want to know this morning is why Scott Jennings' face is so annoying. But if I'm Jennings and I go to my bosses at CNN and say, this is ridiculous. I mean, we can have spirited conversations, but I don't want to be on a panel, which, by the way, Jennifer Welch is just ridiculous. And one more thing, if you really want to talk about an audience of one, I think you're kind of talking about Abby's audience at night, because it's not a whole lot bigger than one, as we learned with the ratings. I mean, I have I meant to do this. This is something else I meant to do. So if you remind me to do this, because I always find this a little bit interesting and illustrative, if you will, but I have a photo, if you will, a screen capture of the top cable news shows. So like the 5, 3.6 million. Jesse Waters, 2.9. Gutfeld, 2.7. Brett Baer, 2.6. Ingram, 2.6. Hannity, 2.3. Will Cain, 2.1. I mean, the list goes on and on. Fox just dominates. Let's see if I get to, I don't even know, MS Now. CNN does not come up until Aaron Burnett out front, 39th on the top 50. This is the top 63.
Wow.
And she has 749,000. That for a cable news outlet, that is ridiculously low. Abby Phillips, 638,000. For a cable news outlet, that's really low. That's bad. You're going to get fired, and a new show's coming on bad, but they don't do that.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, on the roads, we still have this accident eastbound 6440 near McKnight, and they've got the left lanes blocked. Really, only the right lane and kind of the on-ramp lane is getting by, and traffic is really stacked up behind it. In fact, it's just east of Lindbergh. Now that and headed into Illinois are the worst of it. If you're on the Poplar Street Bridge or will be, it's jammed due to road work eastbound 64. They've got the 2 right lanes down between 15th Street and 25th Street, and they will through Monday at noon. And that's really causing delays. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
I was telling Sue earlier, I have some serious major deck repair issues, as in I need a new deck, and I know that Banner Construction can certainly help me out with that. They put in a beautiful sliding glass door in my basement that goes out to my hot tub, because for the first year I lived in my house, I was walking around the long way thinking, I wonder if we put a door in here, and they came in and knocked it out of the park. They've helped me with some other projects over the years as well. My dad tried to burn my house down one time. So you ever hear that?
What?
He had the grill too close to my siding.
Oopsie.
And melted it when we were out of town. So Banner came in and they fixed that. But they can make your home the best looking home. He really didn't try to start my house on fire. I like to tease him though. But Banner can help you with great products like James Hardy fiber cemented siding and Pella replacement windows. And if you're looking for a late spring, early summer install, these are big projects, get on the horn with Banner today. 314-569-1050. The website is great, bannerconstruction.com. On that website, you can click on the James Hardy siding blog or the tab, which will show you a flyover video of some homes in the area and what the James Hardy product can really do for you. bannerconstruction.com. 314-569-1050, and have a banner day.
Doesn't it feel like you hear all the time from retired friends and family, I wish someone had taught me this before I retired? Or, why didn't they teach